The following is a lost, so to speak, recording from September 25th, 2022. Hi, I'm F and Meat. Welcome to Soda. Oh, we drank too much last night.
Maybe we should postpone this episode.
Technical difficulties. Please stand.
We're all better now. Welcome to So to Speak. I'm Lyle Groniger.
I'm Evan Meats. We are so sorry, Cody McDonald, that you have to come all that way for nothing.
It's fine. Yeah. Water under the bridge.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah,
we think.
I will stop.
I've
officially put off drinking.
Yeah.
Can I get the number 2 double patty meal with 2 large fries? And just like a few of those dessert things you sell, and can I get a small drink and make sure it's diet? I'm trying to lose weight. Do you guys want anything?
Yeah, I'll have 3 chicken fajitas.
Yeah, 3 double cheeseburgers with everything. No onions on mine. And an apple turnover.
Wait,
and then
that
sounds familiar.
I just quoted a line from an underrated sequel.
I'm trying to think of it. What the fuck? That sounds so familiar. What is that?
It's from from the underrated...
The Lost World.
Yep.
Yes.
An underrated sequel. Now, we've talked about Jurassic Park enough on this channel. We're not going to talk... We're talking about underrated sequels tonight, but we are not talking about The Lost World. We refuse. I mean, it's a great movie. I like it a lot. It gets a bum rap from Jurassic Park fans. I will defend it. Which is not something I can say about the other sequels.
So this podcast is a sequel to the underrated movies thing that we did. We're talking about sequels.
Yeah, we've done 2 already. So
That's right, we've done 2. Fuck, I forgot.
Hopefully one more after this, too.
Yeah.
Still got enough.
Yeah.
I'm excited, because, it's kind of hard to call it a sequel underrated sometimes.
Very hard.
Because... most sequels are either so bad that they don't match up to the original at all, or they're so good that they surpass the original. But there's never an in-between where it's very rare that there's an in-between where it divides people. Like, sequels are rarely divisive. I mean, maybe, I'm sure that there's something that exists, but we're going to make that case tonight.
I mean, the 3 that I chose, what they all have in common is that, okay, I'm not going to say that they're good movies. I'm not defending them. I'm not saying that they're underrated masterpieces. These are 3 films that I have a soft spot for. They're enjoyable, they're watchable, but they're in no means better than their predecessors.
Yeah.
And they don't deserve all the hate that they get.
Yeah. All right. And my 3 are definitely some that are a little bit more obscure. I mean, 1 isn't, but because it's like...
one I need you to fill me in on because I'm not too.
One,
but all of my 3 are like movies that nobody really talks about, and they sort of have like this layer of ambivalence, and I want to defog that ambivalence cloud. Evan, do you have a 3 themes?
Well, my themes. Okay, 2 of them have a theme. Where the first one is a sequel that I haven't heard talked about in years, but it also happens to be a sequel to one of the greatest movies ever made by human hands. The other 2 that I'm going to talk about are sequels that I think surpass the original in most aspects, but people, the fans of these respective universes, like to hate on these movies, and I don't know why.
Oh, I think I have an idea what it is, actually.
Okay. Well, without further ado...
I'll take a guess
okay.
later.
Well, we're about to just jump right into it, so, okay. So, the sequel I'm going to talk about first is actually, a direct-to-DVD sequel. And remember how I said it's a sequel to one of the greatest movies ever made by human hands? I'd like to take you back to October 1998. I see an ad on one of those remember Disney VHSs where like you see the coming soon section and you're like, okay, I think that looks cool.
Coming soon.
Coming soon to theaters. Coming soon to video.
And then go on DVDs.
Coming soon to CD-ROM or something. Very rarely.
In 2000, no, and occasionally you say, oh, and there's now something from Disney Interactive. And so, case in point, one day I'm watching some VHS and I see a trailer for The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Ah.
Evan, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I'm drinking 7-Up. What?
You drinking 7-Up? Cody, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking Buble lime flavor.
No, nice. That's kind of a pop. And I'm drinking a booster juice.
Oh, okay.
This is the first time I've been drinking soda. Sorry, I misdirected you.
No, the timing of that was funny. It's like he just name drops the title and you go, what are you drinking?
Evan, what is
Are you
your,
drunk?
What is
Why would
your
you choose that
major
movie?
Okay.
malfunction from
Alex, so
No, that's a good choice.
now
Sorry,
no, the
yeah, I've
thing is,
seen it recently.
the thing is though, I genuinely don't know how underrated this is. I just think so because everyone and their mother talks about The Lion King. Everyone likes to talk about the characters and, you know, how amazing it is, how it defined a generation, yada, yada, yada. But the sequel, I think large part because it was direct to DVD, it got overlooked. But I'm going to be completely honest. Now, it is completely unfair to compare the animation to its predecessor because it was direct to DVD. The budget wasn't there. It's not going to have the same quality of animation. But it got Matthew Broderick back as Simba.
They got a couple of people.
It got
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella as Timon and Pumbaa.
It was distracting that it was clear that it wasn't Rowan Atkinson as Zazu.
Yeah, I know. I think they wrote Zazu largely out of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think they also got the voice actor who played Rafiki to come back. I forget his name.
Oh, Bill Cobbs?
No, not Bill Cobbs.
Is that his name?
No, Bill Cobbs. Bill Cobbs was the soccer coach, the basketball coach from Air Bud. You're thinking of someone totally different.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Okay, no, Bill Cobbs. You're thinking of someone. No, the guy, whoever played. I can't remember his name. The guy who played. The guy who played Rafiki. I think he came back. He even got a song too. So
speaking of song, the opening track, "He Lives in You," is actually generally good, and they actually use that in the Broadway.
Robert Gualme.
Okay.
They use that in the Broadway play of
The
Lion King.
Not only is that song in the Broadway musical for The Lion King, it all to capitalize on the success of the first Lion King, Disney released an album called Rhythm of the Pride Lands, and that song is on.
This is the rhythm of the pride.
Oh man, we're back in the 90s.
I didn't make that reference.
Yeah, I beat you, Cody.
Yeah.
Supposedly from the 90s.
But what's so nice is that the first Lion King, where it's kind of like Macbeth, this one's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Lion King is Hamlet.
Except...
I meant to say Hamlet, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
You cursed us. You can't say Macbeth. Now you gotta spin around and... You're not a theater kid. You don't know.
I am not. I had to have the cliff notes for Shakespeare.
Okay, you know what?
For high school, that's all I had.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, the Lion King.
Exactly.
Only the second half of the Lion King bears resemblance to Hamlet. So Romeo and the second Lion King is very much like Romeo and Juliet. And if you want to get really technical, Lion King 1.5, which we're not talking about today, is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah.
So no, think about it. Yeah. So back to the story. So what's the plot? Simba is now king of Pride Rock, and he has a new cub, and Timon and Pumbaa are going to look forward to playing with the little guy. But it is a girl. Oi!
That's good old-fashioned 90s sexism.
Yeah. We're bad. Or the 90s. It was a different time back then. So this little girl, Kiara, Simba's daughter, who will one day become queen of this land, she is... she's actually a pretty decent character. I didn't find her nearly as annoying as Jonathan Taylor. I'm sorry. I know people love Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Simba in the first one. I thought
Home Improvement.
I thought he was annoying, and I've softened to him a little bit.
Cody's blowing up. What do you want to say, Cody?
I just remembered that your favorite, both of your favorite, Andy Dick does a voice in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Andy fucking Dick.
He plays the son, the kind of...
He plays the guy who's jealous of the heir apparent to Scar.
I gotta say, though, it's most, sympathy I've ever had for an Andy Dick character.
Yeah, the guy dies a pretty
his
rough
final
death.
words is, "I'm sorry, mother, I failed you."
No, his exact last words are, "I'm sorry, mother, I tried."
It's like he was just trying to impress his mother.
Yeah.
Someone tried to prove that was a sadder death than Mufasa.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I was like, nah, click.
Oh, by the way, the main character, I already forget her name, but
Kiara.
And Kovu.
I'm just gonna call
Kovu is heir apparent to Scar. And so basically, there's.
I was gonna say, Kara is voiced by Neve Campbell from the Scream franchise.
Wow.
She is?
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
She is the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life, and I did not know.
Now,
oh my god!
Do you know who voices?
Oh my god! I did not know Neve Campbell voiced her.
Okay, 90s guys. Do you know who voiced Kovu? Adult Kovu.
I don't know.
No.
Jason Marsden, who was also Max.
Max.
Was it Cyclops?
No, James Marsden is Cyclops. Jason Marsden is a Disney voice actor. He's also Jason Marsden. He voiced Max in a Goofy movie.
Your favorite fucking movie.
Okay.
Oh my god, Cody, you're out of the loop tonight.
The guy who, so
it's okay.
Okay, so the plot, it's very much like Romeo and Juliet. Basically, it's called Simba's Pride because after Simba defeated Scar and took over the kingdom, it turns out that just like, MAGA Republicans, there were loyalists to Scar, and Simba up and banished them to a shit section of the Pride Lands called the Outlands.
Yeah, see, as a sequel, like that makes sense.
They were loyalists, they were Scar loyalists, and Kiara one day wanders off into their territory, and there's a dispute, and she meets a cub named Kovu, and they like each other, but they can't play together because Montague et Capulet, like, they're from two sides of the tracks, and they can't be together. They can't play with each other. They can't see each other. Nada. But I want to talk... So then once they grow up, they run into each other again, and then this brings the two prides together. The theme of this movie is about division, and it's called Simba's Pride, but Simba actually plays a pretty decent character. He plays a pretty big role in this movie. Like, He's unlike Mufasa, who didn't live to watch Simba grow up. Simba actually does live to watch Kiara grow up, and he has to deal with the fact that he can't protect his daughter anymore. He has to, he's constantly conflicted with whether or not the outsiders are a threat to his reign, and they actually try to be because Scar's mate, the main villain of this movie is Zira, and believe it or not, this is where I gotta go off on a bit of a side tangent. I actually think Zira's villain song, My Lullaby, is better than Be Prepared. And this is coming from someone who loves Be Prepared.
That's a fucking hot take.
It is a hot take. No, because Be Prepared is about Scar going to use conniving, instincts to... And he's very rhythmic. He's very, uppity. I love Be Prepared, but no. Zira takes... her villain song and cranks it up to 11 because it starts off with a lullaby to Scar's heir, who is her son. And by the way, just to clear something up, they make it very clear that Kovu is not Scar's biological son.
Okay, good.
Because if he was, then that means he's Kiara's cousin, and that's incest, so they can't fall in love. Lion said, yeah, exactly. So they make it very clear, but here's the thing, my theory is Nuka was Scar's biological son. That's Andy Dick's character. My theory was Nuka was Scar's biological son.
I just think it's funny. I think it's funny. With this sequel...
Scar, you're a dick.
Someone says, Cody, you're saying... Someone says that the scene with Andy Dick's character's death is more emotional than Mufasa's death, and then you're saying that the villain's song is better than Scar's song.
Well, that's my opinion. He's paraphrasing an opinion, or is that your opinion?
No, it was some YouTuber that I saw. It was like an essay, a theory.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is people have defending thoughts about this.
Yeah, no. Back to my thoughts.
There's good things.
So about the villain song, My Lullaby. So it starts off with Zira singing a song to Kovu, like, one day when you're big and strong, you will be a king. And then it just upgrades into a war anthem. And by the end of the song, it's like, the pounding of the drums of war, the thrill of Kovu's mighty roar, joy of vengeance testify, I can hear the cheering, Kovu, what a guy. Payback time is nearing, and then our flag will fly against a blood-red sky. That's my lullaby.
Man, if we ever need a Disney's deep cut karaoke, we got you covered. Heaven's got us covered, guys.
So what were you getting at?
He likes the song, okay?
I like the song.
Sing it from
sorry.
I was getting at, I was like, no, it takes. Okay, so I thought My Lullaby is more powerful because, like, Be Prepared is like a fun little villain song. For me, My Lullaby just feels more powerful. It feels more threatening.
We Are One was a good song.
We Are One is great, but it plays constantly. Like, it plays in the first time Simba and Kiara sing it, it's nice, but then the instrumental version just is the unofficial theme song of.
But he Lives in You is the best song.
Yeah, no, it plays 4 times. It plays in the first act. It plays at the beginning of the second act, and then it plays at the end of the third act, and it also plays during the credits. So,
right.
Yeah. So, one song that actually haunted me when I went back and watched the movie as a teenager was Not One of Us, where they exile Kovu from the Prime.
I remember that one.
Oh, God. Like, and being, like, feeling like, as someone who didn't fit in high school, that song actually kind of triggered me because it's like, deception, disgrace, evil.
Want to know what's a fucking shame I just thought of?
What?
So I thought they were making a Lion King 2 with Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yeah.
Like 2 of the greatest modern day romantic movies I've ever seen. I'm like, think about it. Wait, they're making the Lion King 2, so that means they got Barry Jenkins doing a movie that's basically like Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, oh my god, the romance is going to be so good in this. Like, I thought, Disney, that's great. You're actually going to adapt Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Like, that's such a deep cut. No, it turns out that he's attached to doing a Mufasa prequel.
Why? Why? Wait, you were actually excited for a live action remake of Simba's Pride?
I was more curious about seeing that just because it was Barry Jenkins. He's a great director, and I thought, like he does romance so well.
So he's not good. You weren't afraid that he was just.
You're not wrong to be led through the primrose path, Cody.
But I was waiting for it. I was like, wait, when is he going to drop out because of creative differences? When is he going to drop out? Come on, give it any day now. Any day. Yeah. He's out. He's out. He's too good for fucking Disney pointless remake shit.
Yeah, but like, why does Mufasa need a prequel?
Side note, by the way.
Yeah.
Peter and Wendy has my interest.
Oh yeah,
who's doing that one?
The guy that did Ghost Story and The Green Knight.
Oh,
and he has done. He did
Pete's Dragon.
Pete's Dragon, yeah, which I actually heard is not a bad remake or sequel.
Done with a little cleverness.
I still need to see Pete's Dragon.
Apparently, he's going back to the book of like Peter and Wendy. He's going right back to the book.
Oh, wow. See, Pete's Dragon was a movie that actually needed a remake. Yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, I thought it was boring.
I have absolutely no interest in any of these remakes, but just the Peter and Wendy, I'm like, okay.
Hey, but wait, Cody, you can't say that you're not interested in Little Mermaid because of the whole.
Oh, I'm a racist. So I can't. I don't want to see that.
Cody.
Wow.
That doesn't matter.
What happened to you?
No, it doesn't matter the fact that I don't like the Little Mermaid as like a character in a movie. No, it's because I'm racist and I can't. I don't want to see it.
It's not that we're tired and dissatisfied.
Yeah, I'm not. I have no intention of seeing it because I don't like colored fish. Oh, wait, they're all colored.
I don't like colorful fish.
Jesus Christ.
Hashtag not my Ariel. Let's not get.
That's a hashtag.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Whatever.
Racists. Like, you guys are idiots.
Let's get back to
You're idiots.
We're talking about
Lion King.
Oh, what I think?
Lion King 2.
I thought it was solid actually because I've seen a few Disney spin-offs and stuff like that, like the Pocahontas one. Or the 2 Aladdin movies.
The 2 Aladdin ones are actually not bad.
They're not bad either.
The first one...
Return of Jafar is like...
The first one...
King of Thieves is not bad.
King of Thieves got Robin Williams back.
Yeah. The genie, right? Yeah. Dan Castellaneta did the genie in the...
I know. It was weird because he sounded like Homer Simpson.
Yeah, exactly. But another one that was actually pretty good. You're never going to believe me in a million years if I told you that the 3rd Cinderella movie is the best Cinderella movie.
You've told me about
this. A Twist in Time?
A Twist in Time is actually really good.
You've told me about this.
The evil stepmother turns into Maleficent, which is ironic because she was the original actor.
Veronica convinced me to watch the fucking the second Little Mermaid. Speaking of that,
I saw that one too.
Return to the Sea.
She says it's basically just the inverse. It's just her daughter wants
Melody
wants to go out to the sea, and I thought, I can relate to that. I like the water.
Nice.
That was my one thing. But like,
That's the reason why you saw
the opening scene is fucking bonkers with its tone. It goes from like lightness to like darkness on a dime.
Oh,
to a
wow.
baby getting swung around everywhere. There's this.
What?
My God, I don't even remember if I
What
finished it. I fell asleep. I
So
don't even know.
to avoid this turning into a Disney tangent,
Sorry.
no, that's good.
Well, we're gonna cover some
the Lion
more.
King, the Lion King 2. It's not. I mean, I'm sure the hardcore Lion King fans probably still praise this movie, but the average moviegoer kind of forgot about it, and I feel like the direct-to-DVD attitude is probably in large part why. But
Yeah.
if you've
stigma.
got Disney Plus, I say give it another watch because it's actually. It's not. Its story is in some ways on par with the story of the first Lion King. It doesn't have the luxury of amazing animation.
You can tell they tried.
But they did try.
They tried.
Yeah, like
just despite the limitations with the animation,
the
I feel like
visuals
they
are
tried.
really striking.
And the runtime,
Yeah.
like what? It's like an hour and 10, 15 minutes.
The songs,
Like,
yeah, like I said, the
Like-
songs are great.
He lives in you.
He Lives in You
That's a
and
great
My
song.
Lullaby are my
I
favorites.
don't remember any of the songs.
Yeah.
He lives in you.
He lives in me. He
It's so
wants
good.
It
to.
sounds like a Phil Collins song.
It's not.
Okay,
Tarzan.
good.
It was Tarzan was only a year away.
I will live in you, and you will live in me.
Wow. Okay, Phil, take it easy.
Okay.
Okay.
Describing everything.
Stop
All right.
drinking, Phil.
Next.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting segue because my first one of the night is much like yours, Evan, where you took a movie that's considered one of the greatest films of all time, and it gets kind of a sequel that wasn't planned ahead of time. My next film is 2010, the year we made contact, which is a long gestating sequel to 2001, A Space
Right.
Odyssey.
Yeah, I've always like. I've never known if I wanted to give this a shot or not.
I haven't seen it.
Because I know it's not
either,
Stanley.
so-
It's not Stanley Kubrick,
No,
and
it's not Kubrick.
nobody talks about it. But they don't say about it like in a bad way. It's just sort of like a, like it's there.
Yeah.
Well, it's based off the work of Arthur C. Clarke, who
Well,
wasn't
good,
who was
good.
involved with the production of this film, much like in the first one.
Yeah, well, he's a screenwriter and also he's a science fiction.
He's the
author,
co-writer.
right?
Well, he's the one who wrote the books. Yes, So
Right, yeah.
The original author of the books was involved with this, and the way I describe this movie is okay. So when I was younger, I watched 2001 a couple times, and every time I kind of just felt. I don't know where this went exactly. It was interesting, but I don't know where it went or what the outcome really means. So what 2010 attempts to do is that it kind of tries to answer a few things.
Oh no. Okay.
I know.
I don't like the sound of this so far.
Okay.
I like the ambiguity of 2001.
Okay, well that's fine, but I know a lot of people didn't. There's I know Arthur C. Clarke has reported that hundreds of people always stopped him at airports just being like, what does it mean? What's the point? What's the point in 2001?
I can't think for myself. Please give me the answers.
Okay.
Also, what is the meaning of life?
Here, tell me. Yeah, but anyways, okay, we're off to the races here. So
Roy Scheider's in it, right?
Yeah, it actually had a really great cast. We have Roy Schneider, John Lithgow, Dame
wow.
Helen Mirren,
Damn.
Bob Balaban, who
Bob Balaban.
I've watched 10 Wes Anderson movies last week, so I've seen this man a billion times now. And we also, Evan, here you go. We also have Elliot Baskin, Mr. Dickovich. From Spider-Man.
Nice, yeah. That Russian guy who was in a bunch of
Well,
stuff.
it's interesting, yeah, because the point
Red.
is
Rent.
Rent. Yes. Oh, and also I should mention, Keir Dullea and Douglas Rain returned from the original. So you have Bowman and HAL 9000. And
So, what year did this come out again?
1984.
Okay, so almost 20 years after the first one.
It's a very late sequel, yes.
I have no problem with late sequels as long as they're good.
Yeah, and for this one, it's interesting because the idea of the plot is basically, in order to fund the expedition to basically go to Jupiter to figure out what happened to the Bowman mission, the U.S. and the Russians, who are under hot fire right now, in the movie, I mean, they have to...
And in real life.
Yeah, currently, yes. It's very timely right now. They have to join forces on a space expedition, and they have to cohabitate on the space station. And of course, you have like your tension and the barriers and like the way like each faction thinks differently and prioritizes things differently. So the cast and integration is all very good. I actually really like Bob Balaban's character because he was one of the first pioneers who designed HAL 9000.
So is this part of the same crew as Dave?
No, this is a new crew. Because none of Dave's crews survived in the first one, remember?
Well, no, but they came from that base where his family was there or something. Like I forget. I'm forgetting the details, but like there was some station or something like that.
It has been a little while since I've seen both 2001 and 2010. But no, I don't know if Roy Schneider is supposed to be like a character from 2001. I can't confirm that. Okay. But for one thing, I really like the interaction. So like I was saying, Bob Balaban. I would say Babylon for some reason, but
Bob Babylon.
Bob Babylon.
Some dude named Bob is going to make a podcast called Bob Babble On.
Bob's Babbles On. But yeah, he babbles on about HAL 9000 because he was one of the key designers.
Okay.
And so he has a vested interest in going to the spaceship and looking at his algorithm and seeing why he malfunctioned, quote unquote. And it's all interesting. Like I will not say, and I will not say this. Or sorry, I am saying this, but what I'm saying is this is in no way better than 2001. But for everyone, I mean, it's hard to top 2001. Really, it's so old and yet it's aged so miraculously.
Yeah.
But for this film, I'd say like if you were a little like unsatisfied with 2001, like if you didn't really know what it meant, this is like kind of a nice compendium piece.
Okay.
But if you want ambiguity, Cody, because I know I had a bad feeling that you were like, oh, I don't want the answers. This one might rub you the wrong way a little bit. There are people who complain that it does kind of do so much.
Does it demystify? Does it kind of fuck with the lore of the first movie, or does it
not really fuck with, but it explains a few details. And it shows actually a lot of interesting things. Like Bowman essentially becomes Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
He can travel through space.
What I'm talking about, are we dealing with like a midi-chlorian paradox where it's like?
No.
Oh, no? Okay,
no,
good.
it doesn't just, like, come up with something out of nowhere.
Okay.
Not that I know of, anyways.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it has a lot of the same iconography as the 2001.
From the looks of it, it looks like it's well made.
It's pretty solid, and the cast
it was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, all in the technical categories.
It was?
Yeah, visual effects, makeup, sound, costume design, and art direction.
Oh, wow, and you see that? And nobody talks about this one. So, yeah, I'd say give it a watch if you're interested in learning more. If you really like 2001, you want to see a little bit more of the world inside of it. And I'm just seeing some characters you like return. I actually really like the performances of both Keir Dullea and Douglas Rain. Especially Douglas Rain, because it's like... Hal's a little bit different in this one, like, because they're trying to do a diagnostic and he has to be honest. He does a really good job with that one. Anyways... we should move on.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are fans of Batman?
Yes.
Which one?
Which one?
Well, we got the 1989 one, Tim Burton, and then that was a great one. And then people are kind of like, you either like it or you don't like it with Batman Returns. I enjoyed it. Definitely a lot more.
I don't remember it too well.
It was darker, a lot more depressing.
That I remember.
Some people actually think Returns is underrated.
It's in some ways, yeah. I mean, but
it's a mixed bag.
I like Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
But there are 2 Batman trilogies in my world. There's obviously the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's the other trilogy, but I don't count
the Schumacher.
I don't count the 4th one. Batman, Robin, no, that doesn't happen.
Okay. So
I'm talking about what should have been finale.
So Burton Schumacher is the Burton Schumacher trilogy is what you call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you feel like it should have stopped at the movie you're about to talk about.
Batman Forever. Yes. I generally enjoy this movie. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't apologize. It's actually perfect because when we did the DC episode with Michael 2 years ago, holy shit. We've been on the air for this long. So, 2 years ago, we talked about DC movies, and when Batman Returns came up, I genuinely don't remember what we said about it, but you weren't there, so now you get to fill us in on what you think.
Well, I mean, it's yeah, Joel Schumacher. Like I get, like, rest in peace. By the way, he got a lot of flack, mainly for the next movie after that, Batman and Robin, which
Now,
it's a bad movie.
It is
but it's sometimes enjoyably bad.
Now,
I love it
because Batman and Robin
Right.
was so awful. Joel Schumacher was this close to getting a trilogy of Batman films.
Batman Triumphant.
Correct, but they canned it after
Yeah.
Batman and Robin was so badly received.
So Batman Forever, the whole reason why this movie came out is just because parents specifically complained so much that Batman Returns was so dark for their
And
kids.
violent.
And violent.
Yeah.
Like, they had a toy line with McDonald's.
That got scrapped. No,
And it, like...
Batman Returns was going to have a toy line. They
Right.
scrapped it once the movie, when they saw cuts of the movie.
What the
So
hell is
even though Tim Burton does have a producing credit on Batman Forever, he kind of stepped away from the directing and said, "Okay, like we're not going to make a dark Batman movie. What are we going to do?" And everybody at Warner Brothers panicked and said, "We got to lighten it up. We have to like make it fun. We got
test audience?
They literally have to lighten it up because I think of flashy lights.
neon lights and glow in the dark aesthetics." Yeah, like,
The color green is the color palette of the movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So let's go into the cast. We got, I genuinely think Val Kilmer is a solid Batman Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
He actually is a...
Do you like him better?
than
Do you like him better? Oh, George Clooney didn't even try.
George Clooney is the worst
Hi,
Batman ever.
This is George Clooney. Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
But this is like, I
I like his scenes with Alfred.
Bruce
though.
with
Wayne
Val
and
Kilmer.
Batman. Not because I want to be, because I choose to be.
Yeah, but with Val,
That's awesome. That's a great Batman.
but with Val
moment.
Kilmer, it's like it's the car, right? Checks out the car. At least he's trying. It's a cheesy line, but he's trying.
The way that I want to differentiate the difference between Forever and Robin, the two Schumacher movies, is that, I'll use an amp analogy. Batman and Robin is like turned all the way to 11, and it's just unbearable, right? But Batman Forever kind of feels like it's at like a 7. It's like it's loud, maybe turn up to an 8. It's like the annoyance, the stuff is there, like the campiness, the corniness, the one-liners is there, but I find like it's very like not as like it's not as often as much as Batman and Robin. But like the movie, Batman Forever has excellent cinematography, guys. Like, go back to it again.
It does.
Take the lights, lights aside. I know how flashy it is, but like, there's like great camera angles. Like, I can tell that Joel Schumacher wanted this to he wanted to kind of combine the darkness of like Tim Burton, but at the same time give it like a lightness, kind of like throwback to the 1960s Adam West era of Batman.
Yeah.
And for me personally, while people might think that's a bit of a clash and that doesn't gel well, I actually found it to be kind of like an enjoyable like combination.
Yeah.
And because there was so much going on, like, I mean, to fucking summarize the plot would take so long. I mean, there's like
it's needlessly complex. I'm gonna be honest.
But that also goes with the complexity with Batman, what's going through his mind in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I like how he's kind of going through like this post-traumatic stress, like he's torn, and he kind of feels like,
and then,
well, I wanted to use the Bat persona to kind of fight evil, but now it feels like it's tearing me apart.
Can I be honest?
And he has to like, I talked to a psychiatrist, Dr. Chase Meridian, played by Nicole Kidman, who does a really good job in this movie, actually. But the one who obviously steals the show, guys, is Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Yeah,
alright. He's the one thing I like.
Because he's just like, I mean, it's just fresh off of the year that he owned in 1994 with 3 fucking box office successes.
That's why they wanted him.
And they're like,
I do think
choice.
Pairing him up with Tommy Lee Jones is a bit of a mismatch.
Tommy Lee Jones is fucking terrible in this movie. I'm sorry.
Yes, because what's funny is Tommy Lee Jones, like, he was introduced as Two-Face when the movie started, and then the second the Riddler comes into the picture, Two-Face just literally converts into a background extra.
Yeah.
He is so overly shadowed by the Riddler, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All he did throughout the rest of that movie, Tommy Lee Jones, was just ooh and giggle at everything that fucking Riddler's did.
Which is not like how Two-Face works.
Right, right. I would have rather Billy D. Williams, because that is canon, technically.
It is.
The only 2 actors that really carry over throughout all 4 of these movies is the guy that played Commissioner Gordon and Alfred. Pat
Hingle and Michael Gough.
Right. Those are the only 2.
May both of them rest in peace.
Yeah.
Michael Gough, the best Alfred.
Yeah, and then can I be going back to your point about how it actually kind of meshes the campiness of the Adam West? I remember being 16 and seeing the "Holy Rusted Metal" Batman joke, and then they explain it. I'm like, oh, that's great. I actually didn't mind that.
Yeah, like that was Oh, and I forgot about Robin as well. I actually think Chris O'Donnell is decent in this movie.
Of course, he ruined the character in the second one. But,
he's such a whiner.
Well, if you don't like him, you can always watch Son of a Woman. He's good in that.
But his whole backstory, the circus, what happened to his parents was identical to what happened. I don't know about the comics, but I know that the animated series, like when I saw that episode,
now there's a couple of Robins. There's Dick Grayson, which is the guy we get in this movie, and then there's Jason Todd.
Yeah,
Dick Grayson is probably the one.
Tim Drake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, you mentioned before about the lighting. I always think you guys ever go laser tag and you're inside.
I've been to Laser Quest many times.
And there's like that glow in the dark kind of like, the walls and all that with the graffiti.
Or go to the Putting Edge.
I think of like Gotham City at night when there's just like all this glow in the dark kind of aesthetic. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I think I do. Yeah.
Mini Gotham.
Oh my god! Open that.
That's great.
I will build it, and I will come.
I like it. I like that. Yeah. Jim Carrey steals the fucking show. He has so many fucking great moments in this. Joygasm.
Yeah.
Caffeine will kill ya.
Does anyone else feel like a fried egg?
As James Rolfe pointed out, there are a couple of like gags that are lifted like directly from the Ace Ventura movies, like
"Snow spank you."
Yeah, that one.
I recognize that when I was growing up. I was like, "Hey, that's the same line."
Yeah, because it's like there.
Well, he did the same thing in The Grinch when he yelled "Owie." I'm like, "That's liar, liar."
Yeah, and Jim Carrey, he's a gem. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest, like. I remember I watched this with my parents, like, for the first time, like, when I was in high school, and we had fun. Like, I
like the atmosphere during the moments where, like, Bruce is, like, haunted, what happened to his parents and all that. I love the lighting. I like just the atmosphere. I like when he's at the funeral.
I also...
when he falls into the cave, like, how he's dealing with the grief and all that is a different angle for his character, like... So that's like the serious part, but then the fun part is obviously just like
the action scenes.
The action and just the villains hamming it up.
Isn't it great that the Riddler exists to fuck with the emotional trauma that Batman is specifically dealing with in the film, in the confines of the film? Like, and it's not and I love when movies do that. Like when the Batman movies do that, at least because in Batman Begins. They had Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow play on his fear.
Yep.
And then in The Dark Knight Rises, they had... in The Dark Knight, they had the Joker, like, put chaos up against Batman's order.
Right.
And then in Dark Knight Rises, you had his weakness go up against Bane's strength. So,
I can't believe...
So to have the Riddler, like, fuck with his head in Batman Forever, it's a good contrast. I really enjoy it.
I do like it.
What were you saying, Cody?
So no, I was trying to remember the actress's name. She played Vicky Valancourt from The Waterboy, and she was also in Return to Oz.
Fruza Balk.
Fruza Balk and Drew Barrymore played they play the sidekicks of like Two-Face in this.
Yeah.
Right. But they're so buried in they're just so underused in it.
Yeah, I completely forgot these characters existed until you reminded me, like, oh yeah, they were there.
Has anyone ever told you have a serious impulse control problem?
Okay, you know what? That was a trademark of the Schumacher Batman movies because Mr. Freeze also has, and Poison Ivy also have pointless sidekicks that no one remembers.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Bane.
Yeah, they reduced Bane to nothing.
Get me started with the way they portrayed Bane in that movie. Oh my god, so terrible.
But here's the thing.
That's horrible.
If Joel Schumacher took a giant steaming dump on your favorite villains, take some comfort to know that the collective efforts of Paul Dano, Aaron Eckhart, and Tom Hardy did them justice in other films.
Hell yeah. Yeah, everything gets redeemed some way. Just make it darker. It's weird how the landscape of society works that way. We enjoy the darkness at first with Tim Burton, and then it gets too dark. Now let's lighten it up. Oh, people don't like the lightness. Oh, we gotta wait 7 years later to do a reboot. Now it's dark again. And now it's even more darker with the Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
It's just like, my god, so many waves.
Can you focus on a color palette?
No, we have things like Lego Batman and Teen Titans go to the movies.
True.
To kind of break up the monotony.
Yeah.
But to kind of sum it up,
okay.
I don't know if you guys have anything else to say about it.
It's interesting. I really don't like this movie.
I know,
but I remember Assad Yeah, like, I don't know why. It's like you and Assad both came up to me within this year and told me, Lyle, I think you're being a little too harsh on Batman Forever. I remember when I grew up in the 90s.
It's
like,
probably
dude,
what it is.
Dude, this movie, I wasn't even born when this movie came out.
I try to look past things with the nostalgia goggles.
Yeah, I have no nostalgia for this
because
movie.
I watched this to fucking death as a kid. All three of these. Well, four of them, actually, begrudgingly. I watched Batman and Robin a lot. All four of these. I just... I don't know. I felt like it wasn't as bad as people thought it was. It's nowhere near as great as the previous two. It's definitely... I think the Batman movies, it's similar to the Superman movies, older ones. Like, each movie just keeps getting worse and worse.
Well, the Superman movies, you want to talk about underrated.
Like the four original Christopher Reeve ones.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 90s Batman movies. Like, they all just progressively... Like, they just kept descending. Worse and worse.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Quest for Peace and fucking Batman and Robin, those are like on par, right? But then there's defenders. People say they have a soft spot for both Superman 3 and Batman Forever.
I mean,
I watched Superman 3 a lot when I was a kid.
I mean, it's the Richard Pryor movie.
Yeah, the Richard Pryor one, yeah.
No, it's the Richard Pryor movie. That's what they should call it.
That's what it is.
So, with regarding Batman Forever, I had fun with it. I mean, I still enjoy it, just not as much as I did the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
But I will never forget, like, the rockin' tunes that are in the credits.
It does have a good soundtrack.
Seal, kiss from a rose on the bat.
On a grave.
U2's hold.
Even I mean, nothing will ever compare to Danny Elfman's score, but I actually don't mind the. Like, it's pretty good.
I was always going to think of Batman and Robin when they all run into the camera.
Well, they do that at the end of...
they do that with this, too.
Yeah. Which is a homage. It's a homage to the way the... Yeah. Only it's, like, silhouetted and it's...
But I like your analogy. Like, it's not...
Okay. The whole movie is style over substance.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, anytime Nicole Kidman is, like, popping out her chest.
Yeah.
And just, like, the rooftops and the lighting. I'm just there. Everything is so stylized. Okay, how the fuck... Okay, so when... Two-Face has, like, his whole... Half of his body... not even his suit. It's half a suit, and the other half of it on his burn side is, like, pink leopard and, like zebra. Like, it's all... Even his costume is...
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's loud, yeah.
Everything is stylized.
That's the word I would use to describe this movie. It's very loud.
Yeah.
And it's
green.
And the nipples on the bat suit were not as distracting as show off.
Oh, Cody, what about the bat? What about the bat bum?
The bad bum, yeah. But is the ending when he did the wardrobe change at the end of the movie, and then Robin joins? Robin has the nipples, but Batman doesn't.
Yeah.
Take a closer look. Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm sorry to go back to Robin again, but if you're gonna make a Batgirl costume and you leave the nipples out, opportunity wasted. Sorry. They probably couldn't do that.
Did you guys know that when Kevin Smith... You guys know this fun fact about Kevin Smith? When he was on
what are we talking about?
Kevin Smith, I wonder if he'll come up again.
He was on the set of this movie when he was trying to, like, ghost kind of,
That was the time when he was almost going to make a Superman movie, and then that got completely shelved.
Yeah. He was on the set that day because he was, kind of in that...
wasn't his Superman adaptation going to mesh with the universe of Joel Schumacher's Batman? And
I'm not sure.
Because do you know that Batman vs. Superman is a concept that Warner Brothers have been kicking around since the 90s, but ultimately in the 90s they ditched it, and then once the Avengers sold like hotcakes, they were like, we gotta bring this back.
Well, the Batman and Superman movie from the 90s was pretty good.
What Batman and Superman movie from
the animated one?
Yeah, the animated
one. Okay,
it's better than it's better than fucking Zack Snyder's movie.
I love how you told me I had to see the Zack Snyder bullshit because I lost a bet.
Oh god, yeah. but the reason why I brought up Kevin Smith when he was on the set during this movie, he must have asked a question what's the success to this movie or whatever, and then Joel Schumacher put his arm around him and said, Kevin, the key to the success of these films are the toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that. I can't believe it.
He was a producer nearby.
I had the Riddler and Two-Face as an action figure when I was a kid.
I'll never fault you for that. Like
I had the Batmobile from Batman and Robin. I had Batman. I had Mr. Freeze,
'Kay.
Poison Ivy, Robin.
I wish. Okay, if you and I
I had the toys.
Cody,
from
if
these
you and
movies.
I had befriended each other 20 years ago, my entire toy collection was Toy Story toys, and then eventually Star Wars toys.
Yeah, me too.
So, okay, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would have gone
Me
along
too.
great.
Oh, we fucked up. It's not Furza Bulk. It's Debbie Mazar
Oh,
from
okay.
Entourage.
Oh,
Who plays
Debbie Mazar.
Spice.
Oh,
right.
They
yeah.
look kind of similar. It's
Yeah.
an easy mistake, but at least I corrected it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Well,
The last line is, was that over the top? I can never tell.
On the nose.
That sells. That sums up the movie.
I love it.
That pretty much sums it up. Yes.
That sums it up. That's
I don't even
Batman
remember
Forever.
that. I
Alright.
haven't seen it in a while.
I know it too well.
I kind of want to watch it again. Like I want to.
It's fun.
I hope tonight.
Oh
that
my
it's
god,
fun.
that scene! Shout out to Pat. A scene that makes him die laughing, and I didn't realize how funny it was until he started laughing at it. Was after Edward Nygma like kills his boss when he throws him out the window, and then he like makes like that simulated memory, not a memory, but like a vision of like him committing
Jumping.
suicide, jumping off. When he's like, "Here's last night's security. There's our boss," and then it's just him going, jumping. He's like him running and far away, and then you just hear off camera smashing a window, and then he just falls. And then they're like, "He left a note. It just says, goodbye, cruel world." And then they're
Wow.
like, "Yep, definitely suicide."
Wow.
Like, really? Just by that, you're convinced?
Case closed.
Case closed.
That was Ed Begley Jr. too.
Right. Yeah, he's in Better Call Saul, actually.
Oh, great.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, sorry, I can go on. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Fun. It doesn't
It's
deserve
okay,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, round two.
Okay.
Evan, take it away.
So, you mentioned Kevin Smith. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna throw it back to him. So, in 2006, Kevin Smith made a sequel to his debut film, Clerks II.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
Now,
We were just talking about this movie right before.
let me paint you
What
guys
else?
Let me paint you guys a picture. I was in my late teens when my stepdad introduced both the movies to me at relatively close proximity to each other. So, and I just remember the summer of 2010 was rough for me, but what got me through it was a combination of movies. And one of my three go-tos that summer to stop feeling down were the Clerks movies and Avatar.
Okay.
So,
All right.
the first Clerks movie, we talked about this in the Kevin Smith episode,
and we are soon going to be talking about it
again.
when we do a tribute to 1994.
Right, yeah, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but
Okay.
here's
We'll
a
talk
bit
about The Lion King as well.
here's a bit here's
Oh
a
my
bit
god.
here's a bit
We're dancing around all the great films.
here's a bit of a hot take. Like, I at the time, this is what I thought the first time I saw Clerks 2. I said, not only is this as good as Clerks, I actually think parts of it are better. Like, I mean, technically, yeah, just like an inverse of the Lion King movies, it's unfair to compare the first Clerks to this because Clerks 2, Miramax gave him millions of dollars and he could do whatever he wanted with it. But some people actually thought the production value is what ruined the movie. They wanted him to go back to his roots and make something old school, and we'll get into that a little bit in a bit. But with Clerks 2, I love the premise. The Clerks, they're doing what they always do, but their convenience store burns down and they have to go work in fast food. That's totally what would happen.
So the movies is what was the fast food joint in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah,
And Dogma.
Movies.
Dogma?
Yeah, Movies was a fast food chain, an in-view-esque universe fast food chain. Yeah.
All you motherfuckers are gonna pay.
So
I love how that's the
so-
one movie out of Kevin Smith's filmography that I just know so fucking well.
So the plot is
This is the one
just
for
like how the first Clerks was a day in the life deal. So is this.
Yeah.
This is Dante's last day on the job because he's moving to Florida with his fiance. He's moving to Florida with Kevin Smith's trophy wife, Jennifer Schwalbach Smith, and I swear to God, I didn't like her the first time I saw her, and then it's like as soon as Rosario Dawson comes in, I'm like, I kind of hope these two
I wonder
get
who
together.
he's gonna get with at the end.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith's wife or Rosario
Well,
Dawson.
well, like it kind of it builds off of the love triangle that they don't just do over the love triangle from the first movie, because
No.
in the first Clerks, Dante goes from a responsible woman to a complete emotionally unstable, seductress.
Asshole.
But in the new movie, he goes from a seductive, emotionally unstable-ish
How is
lady.
she seductive?
The way she walks.
Is it because she has an oversized clit?
Well, that and the fact that she just jumps up on the counter and just arbitrarily makes out with him right in front of Batman. Aha!
There you go.
Not
Yeah,
very hygienic. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
yeah. Yeah, 2 Batman references. So,
She does flash Randall for no real reason.
Affleck, you're the bomb in Phantom, yo.
and if you don't get the fuck out of here and let me spend some quality time with my man, next I'm going to show you my pooter.
No, you won't. All right, I'll go.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I like how Dante goes from a nympho to a responsible, stable woman, and it's an inverse of the first Clerks movie. And I honestly,
because Rosario Dawson's character is non-monogamous. She doesn't believe in true love, and
not until the end. Her arc, her arc is that I needed the right guy to convince me that true love is possible.
Mm.
And then they're just like in the first Clerks, the climax goes balls to the wall, almost literally crazy.
Balls to the ass.
Balls to the ass. Oh wait, but you Lyle, you never go ass to mouth. So what am I getting at? So
you grow up.
so the reason, case in point, not only do it has a better production value to the point where it's almost unfair to compare the two movies, but I think the jokes are funnier, they hit harder. I mean, there's one sequence that I just cannot stop laughing, and that's the pillow pants sequence. I swear, every single time I rewatch Clerks 2, I just cannot stop laughing at the pillow pants sequence. Your facial expression, Cody, the audience can't see, but your facial expression is almost like Randall.
I'm just trying to remember, because the only scene I remember bits and pieces from Clerks 2. I remember the jail cell scene at the end was really good.
Oh, that's one of the best scenes in the movie.
I remember when he was breaking down the storyline of the Lord of the Rings movies was really funny.
Oh, that was
the trees walked in
first movie, walk. Second movie, walk, stumble a bit. Third movie, walk, throw the ring. Meh. Okay.
Even the fucking trees walked in that movie.
Yeah, and then Randall, without Peter Jackson being anywhere near making the Hobbit trilogy, Randall says those fucking Hobbit movies were boring as hell.
And Earl was also. Not Earl,
Lance Dowds.
No,
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. I said Earl because he has the stash.
His name was Earl.
Well, his name was Earl. Yeah.
I swear to God.
I pictured his face in the scene, and he has the mustache. I just thought my name's Earl. But
by that time,
didn't they hate him? And then they went in the back and they put the ice from the urinal, and they put flies in his burger or whatever.
Piss and flies. Can I be honest?
Right.
Do you know the shots where they get ice in the urinal and then they put the flies in the burger?
Yeah.
All those shots in that comedic montage, do you know who directed those?
Who?
Jason Mewes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's on his way, but this was...
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob, Jay's trying to go straight and not, trying to go on in rehab, but it's he's still a drug dealer.
They do a Silence of the Lambs reference, right?
Yeah, he keeps listening to Goodbye Horses for no particular reason, but
my favorite J line...
He does the dick tuck.
The dick tuck, yeah.
My favorite J line...
Did you fuck me?
My favorite J line in the whole movie is is that a Bible? Hey! The holy fucking Bible, son! Yeah.
Did you know that Jesus was a Jew?
Yeah.
Yeah. One moment I like. You guys like the prison scene. One moment I love in this movie is the go-kart sequence.
That's a good one.
Right after Lance Dowds chews them out and calls them losers.
Not only that, but the go-kart scene uses the same song from that other 2 movies, Spider-Man 2. Raindrops are falling on my head.
Yeah, yep. No, it's such a good... Every time I go go-karting, I can't not think of that scene.
No, it's an adorable little scene.
Yeah, because it's nice to see Randall.
So, but this is what I'm pointing at.
Yep.
Clerks 2 hits an emotional like precipice,
Yeah.
an emotional precipice that the first one just didn't. I mean, I love both movies, but I like the second Clerks a little more. But the reason why I say it's underrated is because I swear to God, sometimes Kevin Smith fans have an exclusivity to his work. Like, Kevin Smith is now at a point in his career where he makes movies exclusively for his hardcore fans, and I do mean that.
It's a shame.
Yeah, did you hear that story where he made a movie and sold it as an NFT?
Really?
Yeah, you can only 5,500 people can ever watch this movie because it's a blockchain, right? So if you buy it, then you take up a queue. Only 5,500 people are ever going to see Kilroy was here.
Yeah. But
so that's not very promising.
Wow.
And so, but here's the thing:
I'll miss out on that.
The Kevin Smith fans were very, very harsh to this movie when it came out. Yeah, I didn't. I was shocked because I didn't know anything about the bad reception.
Love it, and
I love it. Well,
I love it.
I don't claim to be a hardcore fan of Kevin Smith's work. I'm a fan, but not hardcore fan. But like, I've seen enough of his work to know like what he's all about. The thing is, like, apparently, thanks to Jersey Girl, which is another movie I like quite a bit.
It's pretty good.
I'm gonna watch that.
Thanks to Jersey Girl, like, that was like the chink in his... Because up until Jersey Girl, his fans thought he was like the greatest ever. Like they thought it was impossible for him to make a bad movie. He made Jersey Girl, which rubbed a lot of his fans the wrong way.
Well, he wanted to branch out. He wanted to make something.
Okay, if you want to hate on a Kevin Smith movie, hate on Cop Out till the cows come home.
Wrong, and that's why nobody liked it. Sorry.
No, I didn't hear any of that.
Because you talked over me.
No, I interrupted. Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, and I was just saying, like, he wanted to break out of the View universe. And,
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted to branch out, do more things like Chasing Amy, which was successful at the time. And, Jersey Girl was a critical flop, and...
Commercial flop,
and
too.
a commercial flop, too.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not that bad, actually.
It's not... I don't think it's a bad movie. Like, it's okay. A lot of it's well done. Like, it's very heartfelt. It was the last live-action role of George Carlin, which, I mean... And it also... And Kevin Smith made that as an emotional tribute to his father, because his father died a year before Jersey Girl came out. But when Clerks 2 came along, the fans were out for blood, and they ripped that movie. Like... Their criticisms were that, like, because Kevin Smith is a mainstream filmmaker now, he will never be as good as, like... Because Clerks spoke to a generation. Like, it taught many people, including me, that you can make a movie anywhere, anytime, and you can just write what you know, shoot what you know, and you can do it. That was Kevin Smith's message. But then it's like, Kevin Smith has money, that automatically makes the movie bad. No, it doesn't. Like, it's great. It's one of the best sequels, I think, of all time.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair to criticize. I mean, it's actually showing there's a progression with the characters and the filmmaker himself, but it's all about the characters.
Exactly, yeah.
And I love the way the
characters And if newbie like me can remember that jail cell scene of like, oh wow, they're actually having like an external crisis and they're kind of like hating on each other, like, oh, you're bringing me nowhere, you're dragging me down, and all that stuff.
But then...
If I can remember that, then that's saying something.
Yeah, and the arc they have is like, it goes back...
Even though comedically they go back to square one.
No. Going back to square one. They don't work for the Quick Stop. They buy and own it.
They own it. Now, even better.
But this is the thing. Okay, the ending perfectly bookends the two movies, and the story is just so perfectly wrapped up. I said the story is perfectly wrapped up. Oh, god damn it. Clerks 3 exists.
When I was a young boy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. As of this recording, Clerks 3 is a thing that exists. Apparently, it's very difficult for the average moviegoer to see it because Kevin Smith doesn't have the money.
It's doing shit in the box
office. It's doing shit because Kevin Smith did limited release.
Yeah.
So... without going off on too much into detail, without reviewing Clerks 3, this is all I'm going to say. Cody, if you are one of those... As soon as I think of people who like to pick on member-berry sequels and reboots, if you watch Clerks 3... You're going to have a fucking field day with the entire second act.
Right before recording, you were in the bathroom. Lyle and I were just talking about this. But I think, but it has its place and its purpose. And then that's okay. But I had actually heard that like it was one of them. It was just like their best acting out of their whole career.
Oh, I agree.
Brian O'Halloran's really good.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. But I like the premise. I like the idea of them being like, I've never made a movie before. Why don't we make a movie about us owning or growing, working at the quick shop?
The whole
and
Randall having a heart attack.
Yeah.
That was Kevin Smith, like
right.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
He almost died.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to add that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
He writes a lot of his personal stuff. Dude, it's so funny about Kevin Smith. It's like people can't separate the art from the artist. Like but it's the opposite for me. I like him so much more than his movies.
Oh, really?
He was just
then you might actually like Clerks 3.
He was just on Steve-O's podcast, Steve-O's Wild Ride, and it was one of the best podcasts I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh, no kidding.
The two of them had this like deepest conversation I've ever heard. I had to listen to it twice. I literally had to listen to it twice.
I gotta hear it now.
They had such a deep, meaningful conversation about life, and it was just like one of the best things I've ever heard ever. Yeah. I highly recommend it, guys.
Nice.
They go into like his heart attacks and stuff like that, but then they just go on a tangent about just talking about deep shit. I love it.
I gotta hear this. So Clerks 2, and just to quickly recap, I think Clerks 3 is okay. I don't like it as much as I like Clerks 2, but I think I was afraid it was. I was afraid that Clerks 3 was an unjustified, unnecessary sequel. Unnecessary, but mostly justified. And I'm glad I saw it. That's all I have to say. I'm sure I'll talk about it in more detail like years later. But now we have a Clerks trilogy. Clerks 2 for me is the highlight of that trilogy. So
I'm surprised it's your favorite. Both of your favorites, actually. I thought the first one.
Don't get me wrong.
Spoke so much to you guys.
To be honest,
it does
the
too.
first
I like
one,
both equally.
The first one speaks.
Wow, that's amazing.
The first one.
I didn't expect.
The first one speaks to me because I was just a dorky kid in a Comtech class, chasing around this girl who had wanted nothing to do with me, and I had a dream of making movies. Clerks is one of those movies that said, "Go out and do it." If not the movie that said, go out and do it. Like, at the time I was in this Comtech class, Avatar was soaking up the box office dollars, and I'd seen Clerks, and it's like, Avatar, I'd like to make a movie like Avatar someday, but I'm not going to be able to do that until I make a movie like Clerks. Get out and go do it.
That's
very,
yeah.
But Clerks 2...
It's a very, like, indie and mainstream Hollywood type of analogy, too.
Best of both worlds.
I wrote Kevin Smith an honest-to-God message, like, right after when I heard he was okay from his heart attack, and I said, hey, Kevin, I want you to know that this is the abridged version, but I said the gist of it was, I saw Avatar and Clerks the same year, and Avatar taught me the limits of filmmaking, but your film Clerks taught me where it can start. So I'm going to go do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then he blocked you.
He didn't. No audience, he didn't block me. If I ever, he's probably, if I ever meet him in person, he'll probably have he probably got tons of fan mail from that, so he probably doesn't remember. Yeah. But if I ever meet him, I'll get to read that message to him and be like, hey, thanks.
Nice,
yeah.
All right, what's up next?
Excellent choice, Evan.
Yeah.
You approve.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I talked about one movie you guys haven't seen. How about another one? Two.
I mean, I kind of like how in this dynamic you're introducing us to, like, the hidden gems.
My next one I don't think you guys have both seen, but go on.
We'll see it.
I call this one underrated for a reason.
Yeah.
So you guys like horror movies?
Meh, eh.
Horror.
I'm not.
The horror genre and the romantic comedy genre fall
short.
It
sounded just now like you said the horror genre and the romantic comedy genre.
Genre.
Sorry, neither of us can talk tonight.
The horror genre and the romantic comedy genre fall short for me, but I don't hate both worlds because there are some gems in both that justify their existence.
And I can't think of a gem of horror, especially fantasy horror, is more deserving discussion than the Phantasm series.
Please tell me what the hell this is.
Okay.
I don't know anything about this.
Okay. Alright, so Phantasm was a film made in the late 70s by an indie director named Don Coscarelli.
Okay, pause for just a sec.
Yeah.
Did you borrow the first Phantasm off my mom many years ago? Because I know there's a...
No, that was Phantom of the Paradise.
Okay, sorry.
It's the Brian De Palma movie, yeah.
Sorry.
No, but anyways, Phantasm... It's a movie that kind of captures the feeling of you sneaking out at night to solve a mystery. That kind of feeling. So
so like Magic Treehouse or Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. It's interesting you mention that. Yeah, a bit. So it's about this young boy named Michael, who one day after visiting his friends during a funeral, he witnesses this figure in the cemetery, this tall man. That's actually what he's called. He's called the Tall Man. And he sees him lift an entire casket over his shoulder and throw it into the truck and into a hearse and just drive away. And he's like, well, that's weird. You're supposed to bury the bodies. What's he doing with the bodies? And he starts noticing weird activity throughout the cemetery. He sees like these hooded like small creatures that run around the graveyard, and he tries to investigate. And he goes into the tombs and he finds these spheres that search after you, and he doesn't know what to make of it. And he gets his brother involved, and he gets a friend of theirs who's an ice cream truck server, and he's like, guys, we gotta figure out what this tall guy wants. And it turns out what this tall guy wants is that he takes your body, your corpse, embalms it with fluid, crunches it down to dwarf size, and makes you into a slave while taking your brain and sticking it into these spheres to be like sentinels that hunt and murder anything they see.
Whoa.
And they're all under his control. And he's sending these bodies into dark barrels that get transported to these two metal posts. And when you go through the posts, you go into this like almost like a Arrakis like planet where like you're going to be a slave forever. So your body and soul are under the control of this tall man.
Wow.
So they gotta stop him. Now,
obviously.
I'm not gonna go into the plot of Phantasm much more than that, but that's the gist of the first one.
Okay.
The second one, which came out about 9 years later. So Phantasm was a small movie. It didn't have a big budget. I would actually compare this series a lot to Evil Dead. Or something like Tremors, actually. So these three movies have a lot in common, actually. And the series, I should say. So like the second one, much like Evil Dead 2, this was a bigger version of the first movie. First one's just kind of, it's nice. The second one is when they got studio interaction. They got like big effects. I think there's like 3 explosions in this movie, and it's sick. And they had to do a few things. The studio had a lot of notes, unfortunately, and one of the big notes was, you gotta lay off one of the actors from the first film and keep the other, because we gotta have a star in this thing. You can't just have like a bunch of community actors, your buddies, being in the movies. So the boy Michael got replaced with another actor because the director had to pick either him or the original actor who played Reggie, the ice cream man, who became a fan favorite as the series went on.
Okay.
So they replaced Michael Baldwin, the original guy who played the kid. Replaced him with James LaGrosse. Cody, you would know him from Point Break, and Evan, you would know him from Living in Oblivion. He's the pompous actor who gets fired.
Right, yeah.
And who's he in Point Break?
He's one of the bank.
He's one of the presidents of the. He's one of the presidents.
One of the presidents.
Oh, okay. He's one of the.
I think he's the one who says, "I'm not going to live past 30."
Was that Nixon or?
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in years.
I'm trying to remember exactly. Trying to get a face, but okay, go on.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, and you know what? I know it's a bit of a hot take. I actually don't mind him at all as Mike. Honestly, like they got a replacement actor, and he actually fills the role pretty well as like this young kid who's been through a lot. He had to be put through into a psychiatric hospital because of experiences from the first film.
Right.
And he's actually pretty good. His performance almost reminds me of like a young Mark Hamill.
Okay.
Something like that. Like, he's just kind of endearing. And then we gotta talk about Reggie. Fucking ex-Ice Cream Man Reggie with a 4-barrel shotgun in his hand going around blasting, like, these minions. Just being a total yuckster badass. Not too dissimilar from Ash Williams, actually. And that's another thing I love about this movie. These guys, they're no longer afraid. They're gonna hunt down the tall man no matter what, because he's touring the countryside, destroying small towns and building up an army of like corpsemen, and it's their duty to like try and like stop his plague, you know, because they don't want this to spread. And it's just so great. Like Mike has like this improvised flamethrower, and you know I already mentioned the shotgun, but which also became a very big icon of the series. He also carries around this chainsaw. He has like a chainsaw battle with another guy with a chainsaw, and it's metal as fuck. And that's another thing. I just appreciate Don Coscarelli so much because he's very inventive. He can do a lot with very little. Like the spheres themselves. The way they fly at you. They have these prongs that come out. They stick into your head. And then there's like a power drill thing. It goes through your cranium. It spews blood everywhere, and every time I
Oh.
see it, I'm just like, God damn, that's brutal. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Angus Scrim as the tall man. Just like this elderly, like, nearly like 6.5 to 7 feet tall man who's like, he doesn't say much. He just has like this snarl, and he comes up to you. He can grab you with one arm and just be like, "You played a good game, boy, but now it is your time to die."
Wow.
Like he's just like this nefariously undescribable force of nature.
Your impression of him makes him sound like Captain Barbossa from Curse of the Black Pearl.
Well, he's not as personable as Captain Barbossa,
Yeah.
but sure.
So is it the same directors, writers? Like
Yeah, it's
is it the same kind of like people involved?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it is
yeah.
actually, and it's
Okay.
interesting because like Don Coscarelli, in a way that not a lot of horror franchises do, he directed almost every single one of these films. There's 5 Phantasm films. He did the first 4. He didn't do the 5th one. The 5th one kind of just became like a web series that got compiled into a film, and then they added like a final act to kind of wrap up the entire series. Because the thing with Phantasm is, it almost like every movie, it starts with what happened the last time. Because this one picks up right after the first one, actually, which is pretty impressive given the 9-year span. And they always end on a cliffhanger every single time.
Okay.
And they always kind of dole out little pieces of information about, like, the tall man and what his purpose in the series is. And it's just great. Like, I really enjoyed binging this series last year. And you know what, guys? It's the holiday season.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I highly recommend it because
Alright.
I can see why J.J. Abrams loves, like, the first film.
Oh, he does?
He does. Like, Bad Robot actually owns the rights to Phantasm.
Oh.
Yeah, they distribute it. And,
You think he's gonna reboot it?
yeah, and Captain Phasma is named after Phantasm
What?
Captain Phasma.
from Force Awakens.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, because,
Wow.
like, you looked at her dome, it's like, it kind of looks like the ball from Phantasm. Fucking A, we'll call her Captain Phasm.
Wow,
Phasma.
that's a deep cut.
Wow.
Yeah, no, Phantasm.
Well, you know what? Good for him to actually have an inspired idea.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing with Phantasm. It kind of has, like, this mystery box kind of element to it. And this dream...
And you just said J.J. Abrams, so mystery box.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he
Yeah.
likes these movies so much. Because they don't explain anything outright. I mean, because, like, the only way they explain it is from these characters' points of view.
So you're saying that things are self-implied?
Self-implied?
Yeah, like there's like the way I mean by that is that, like, say you get a piece of information and then you get a second piece of information, and now someone might not think that, like, well, that doesn't really answer it, but I think that because I know all this other stuff, doesn't it make sense for that to happen? I'm not really stretching the truth of answering that. It's just sort of like kind of connected in some way, but it's not directly answering.
In a way,
It's
yes.
self-implied.
Yeah, they make discoveries like that.
Lost. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
When people have a very bad misconception of that show, saying, oh, they make it up as they go along, or they're making up mysteries as they go along, whatever, they don't answer anything, I go, nope, a lot of things are self-implied. You just have to kind of relish in the lore.
Sure. But going back to Don
I mean, I had to name drop that, right? It wouldn't be fucking...
You guys are watching a finale tonight after this podcast. I don't want to keep you away from that.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. I appreciate the level of commitment that Don Coscarelli put into this project. Reminds me very much like not Wes Anderson, sorry. I just did a podcast on Wes Craven with the Scream
Okay.
series.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right.
Well, maybe not so much that because he dropped off after a while, but with Scream,
He did the first one, right?
No, he did all of them.
Wes Craven did the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
No, I'm talking about
No,
Scream.
Sorry.
He did all Screams except for the new one.
Yeah, because he passed away before it could be done. But yeah, it's just great. He has such a connection to this series. He always gets his buddies back. He always gets Reggie Bannister, who plays Reggie. He comes back for all of them. Angus Scrim always comes back. And even though I do like James LaGrosse, a part of me is happy that Michael Baldwin, the original actor, did come back for the next ones. Because the studio weren't pressuring them. It's like, you gotta pick one. There can only be one actor in the first one to come back. And it's like, alright. But, like, no, I'm glad Michael Baldwin came back. And, like, I'd say each sequel for Phantasm gets slightly worse, but nothing teetering on unwatchable. There's enough creative steam throughout the series to kind of get at least something. But I don't know. If you guys haven't seen Phantasm, I highly recommend it. I find it very fascinating, imaginative, and just just really neat, especially if you like how people like start out from their beginnings and make like little movies
Yeah.
with a ton of passion. Cody, you might actually really like Phantasm because one of the scenes early on actually pays like a straight homage to Dune,
Oh yeah.
like the box.
Oh cool.
Yeah, they reference that
Jabbar.
at a time when Dune wasn't like all that huge.
What year was the first one?
I can double check. It was late. I think it was 1979.
And then you said 11 years later for the second one?
9 years later.
9 years later, okay.
The first one came out in 1979. The second one came out in 1988. And, okay, I should just say, like, the reason why I find it underrated is that I just feel like horror sequels get a bad rap.
Sure.
They're always seen like, oh, they're inferior in every way. They're always like just cash grabs or something like that. And there's a few that stand out, like Nightmare 3.
Oh, Nightmare 3 is a great example.
Nightmare 3 is an excellent sequel.
We're the Dream Warriors.
Yeah, or like Friday the 13th part. I think it's
4. 4 and 6.
The final
A lot of people like 4 and 6.
4 and 6 are the only great ones.
Yeah, and things like that. Where you have like, okay, it's a long franchise.
I have a soft spot for Scream too. I think it's as great as the first one.
So,
yeah.
A question about Friday the 13th Part 4. Why'd they call it the final chapter if they made like a bajillion more?
Because
they thought it was going to be the
They
end.
wanted it to be the last one of them, but they kept making more of them.
So
they made too much movie.
They just changed the title now.
Friday the 13th 4.
Yeah, just call it that.
Yeah, but like I feel like Phantasm II just doesn't get the same level of credit for being a sequel that not only improves a lot of the elements of the first Phantasm, but also does just so many more things. Like, it's so much more action-oriented. It's like watching Alien, then you go right into Aliens. Like, that kind of, like, evolution.
Ah, okay.
Now some people, a lot of Phantasm fans, Jeff Roman introduced me to the series, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the editor. He was telling me that a lot of fans kind of like the quieter.
Now that's coming back to me. Wasn't it like his all-time favorite movie and the movie that inspired him to make movies?
He crowdfunded the 5th one.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, he wanted the 5th one so badly. He tried to organize something.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but no, it's just like Phantasm 2. It just does so many things that you can borrow that if you want.
I might just want... Oh, it has both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just picked up Lyle's copy of Phantasm.
Yeah,
it includes the second one,
I got a Blu-ray that has the first and second. There is also a pack that has all 5, but as I said, I guess Phantasm 3 is not bad. I think the first and second one are like a perfect double feature. And, yeah, that's the thing. I feel like Phantasm 2 in the horror genre, it doesn't get enough praise, I feel, and that's why I find it underrated.
All right. Cool.
And I know neither of you have seen it. Maybe I've turned
you sold
your eye to it.
You sold me a bit. I'm curious. I'm curious.
Cool.
I mean, you know me. I'm like the least versed person in horror. Like, you saw how much trouble I had with like I got my Wes Craven franchises crossed because that just goes to show how much I know about this genre. But I'll check it out at some point.
All right, for sure. I'd also recommend another film Don Coscarelli made. I don't know if I'll talk about it in the next episode, but I really like John Dies at the End.
Didn't you show me John Dies at the End?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah. Did I see that? No, I didn't see that. I'm familiar with it.
And he also made Bubba Hotep, which I really need to see, too.
All right.
Cody, what do you got for us, boy?
Well, it's almost a perfect segue. So, Lyle, you're talking so much about Phantasm and just the lore and, like,
fantastic.
people, but you just actually name-dropped it. So, you guys have seen Tremors?
Yeah.
Not only I have not seen Tremors, which is why we gotta watch it this month. Sorry.
Oh no, he's melting.
I told you.
The graboid got him.
Man, Tremors is one of the best fucking monster movies of all time.
It fucking is.
It is like a perfect horror comedy. It's such a unique premise. It's Jaws, but in the desert, essentially. There's these things called graboids. Just to quickly sum it up, there's these underground worms called graboids that anytime it's basically like the floor is lava. You can't make any sounds.
Yes. So like A Quiet Place.
Yes,
a bit.
Yes, a bit like that. Yeah, you can't make any sound on the ground or else they're gonna grab you. But I don't want to spoil it. I gotta boil it down.
And you won't attract the worm.
So the movie was directed by Ron Underwood.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys know this guy? You do know him because you just watched a film by him recently.
Yeah, he made The Adventures of Pluto Nash.
Yeah. So he's known for City Slickers. He's known for Mighty Joe Young.
The live action Disney Mighty Joe Young
Yeah.
and Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he did that one. But they're the two writers of Tremors, S.S. Wilson and Brent Murdoch. So these two writers, they went on to do the sequels, like 2, 3, and 4. But anything past that, guys, don't even fucking bother. Because the Asylum or some company picked up the rights, and it has nothing to do with these two creators' vision.
1404, right? Is that the one?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, if you see Jamie Kennedy or John Heater in these Tremor sequels, don't bother. Please don't bother. But the one I'm talking about is the follow-up to Tremors, Tremors 2, Aftershocks.
Ooh, okay.
What a fucking title.
This. I love the first Tremors, so Cody, spin this on me.
Okay, so basically it's... Yeah, so S.S. Wilson directs while the other two, him and Brett Murdoch write it. So it's a direct-to-video sequel as well. Actually, mine and my last choice tonight, this one and my last choice are both direct-to-video sequels. So it is like a typical sequel where, there's more graboids, right? They're back again. They're terrorizing this oil plant in Mexico. And they call in, they couldn't afford Kevin Bacon to come back, so they had to get Fred Ward.
Fred Ward. Oh, the late Fred Ward.
Fred Ward, yeah. Oh, he passed away?
Fred Willard, or...
Yeah, he did.
Is it Fred
Ward? I didn't know
Is it Fred Ward or Fred Willard?
It's Fred Ward.
Maybe I did. Sorry.
I got my Freds crossed.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. I'm just
I'm trying to think if I did knew that, but I just...
May 5th, 2022.
Just recently.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, Fred
I wasn't sure if you knew that or not, because I know you love this franchise.
Well, he plays Earl. He's from the first movie, right?
Earl, yeah.
So, he's the only one... Well, him and the best character out of all the movies is Michael Gross. Burt Gummer, when he throws on that Hawks cap, and he's just like the biggest fucking gun nut, but he's the most awesome, genuine guy. He's like every guy's dad, like anyone's dad. Well, he's from that show. He was in Family Ties or something like that, or what sitcom was Michael Gross known for?
Yeah, Family Ties.
Family Ties, yeah. So it's just basically like the everyday dad type of persona, but he's just like the most badass guy killing like all these monsters. So they call in Fred Ward, Earl, that's his character's name, to come in with this new guy, and this new guy, I forget his name, but he's like the most annoying sidekick ever. I'm just like, fuck, you're not Kevin Bacon, get out of here. You're just way more annoying. But they do like pretty clever ways to kill these graboids. Like they'll put like a remote control car on the ground that's rigged to an explosive,
bomb,
and they'll just ride it around, wait for the graboid to grab it. All right, detonate it. Boom, boom, boom. There's like a montage of them just blowing up these fucking graboids, and don't eat pizza pops when you watch.
I don't even like pizza pops.
When you watch Tremors, do not eat pizza pops because the inside of these graboids are just like it's all gooey. It's oh god, it's so gross. But the worms have churned. So they churned. They've like evolved.
Oh,
so the second movie it introduces these things called shriekers, which are basically I get it. I get the wheels behind the scenes. This is Universal, and this is 1996. So clearly, what big Universal movie was a big hit in the 90s? Yes.
I will not be talking about that anymore. So to speak, it's done to death. Sorry.
So these shriekers are essentially raptors.
Oh,
right, so there's these land
raptor worms.
They walk on land, right? They have legs, right? And they walk around. They almost look like a weird chicken-looking ostrich thing, but they lift up their beaks. They have the same beaks as a graboid, but they have this thing on top that lifts up, and it's like it's a infrared heat sensor. So they eat anything that's hot.
Oh no!
So they come up with clever ways, like they got to spray themselves down with like a fire extinguisher,
or
they sometimes gotta hide behind like a piece of wood that's tall enough and just kind of go by. Just have yourself. You can't have it'll chew out car engines too.
I gotta see this movie.
Yeah,
sounds good.
But the thing is, it's like say you love the first Tremors and you want here's another analogy. If you want a refill, the second movie is like a glass half full. Like it is like it's if you want some of the fun and charm of the first movie again,
Yeah.
but you won't get it all. But it's just like a little some cleverness here and there. It's very cheap. It's very minimal. It's like a cast of like 7 people at least.
Yeah.
Very sparse locations and all that, and like they're yeah, I can definitely see them trying to like kind of cheat away around the production a bit. I think I looked up a fun fact. They only used one full length graboid for this movie.
Okay. So this was direct to DVD, right?
Direct to DVD. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they didn't want to. They kind of. There's some visual effects of like there's practicality stuff in it too. There's one where a shrieker like fucking like gives birth to one like out of its mouth. It's like talking. It comes out. It's like a little baby shrieker. All that stuff is gooey.
So like the alien queen from Aliens.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, right? But there's some like wide shots where they're trying to do like visual effects like CGI shriekers running around. Doesn't look that good. But
how successful was the first Tremors? Was there just not enough demand for a sequel to go to theaters?
I mean, I guess not. I mean, they wanted to make this into a. I don't know. I don't know the backstory behind it, but these two guys are so passionate about it. Like they've carried it on.
Yeah.
The third one though is not that great. It probably has.
It wasn't that successful.
This has the third movie, Back to Perfection, because that's the town it takes place in. It's called Perfection. Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, has the absolute worst sound design I've ever heard in any film ever. Like, I've watched this and I go, how did they think this was acceptable?
Okay, yeah, the first Tremors had a budget of $10 million. It made back $16.7 million.
I feel bad. Brett Murdoch is
That's
the one
too bad.
He's the one who did the directing, Brett Murdoch. I guess he's not that good of a director. But then S.S. Wilson came back for the fourth one. And get this, the fourth one is a prequel that takes place in the 17th century in the Old West in Perfection.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's basically cowboys versus graboids, which is a great premise. And Michael Gross plays Bert's ancestors. He plays like his ancestors back then.
It's like Biff 10.
That's great. That's a great premise. Problem is, it's a little boring.
It's a little boring.
Yeah, it's a little boring.
Why is this prequel like that other sequel from Back to the Future, like Part 3?
The third one?
Right. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
The third movie in this franchise takes place in the Old West, and they're both boring.
Yeah, or like Prey.
But Tremors 2 Aftershocks, because I feel like it's just fresh off of the success of the first one, like it honestly, it has just as much as the fun. Well, not just as much. It has just a little bit more of the same. Like I'd say if you're like, you love Tremors, I want to watch more, I'd say throw this on and you'll get a little bit more. And then you'd be like, all right, I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love me some Tremors. I'd love to rewatch it now, actually. Thanks.
There's such a fucking funny part with Michael Gross. I won't say a lot. I don't want to spoil anything, but like, basically, Michael Gross is like driving at night in this huge truck filled with like ammunition and guns, and then he gets attacked by all these shriekers, but then it cuts to black, and later on we come back to him. He drives back to home base, and his whole truck is just obliterated, and he's just covered in guts, and he describes what happened, where he's like, well, I just had to fucking use all my guns and all my ammunition. I saw most of them in front of my truck, so I just rammed them all down, and then I had to hop in the back and like use all my ammunition. He just goes, I am completely out of ammo. And he just sits back and he goes, that's never happened to me before. He's just like, this guy's been in like wars before. But I love the way like they're obviously trying to cut around the budget because you can't show this epic shootout. But the way he describes it and Michael Gross just chewing it up. It's great. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sold. I want to see this now.
I want to see this.
We sold each other.
So
That's great.
do you remember when him and his wife, like in the first one, Rita McEntire, remember when it busts through their...
and then it takes a pen and they have a whole wall of guns.
Yeah, when it busts through their wall.
Yeah.
So his introduction scene, he's sitting in a lazy boy, and there's like animals mounted to his wall, right? Like it's like a moose or like a deer or whatever. And then the camera pulls out more. He mounted the fucking graboid in his wall.
That's great.
It's great.
Does this one have the same kind of cat and mouse element where it's like the humans sometimes outwit the worm and then the worm outwits the human?
It has a little bit of that because I just said it, now that they have the upper hand, they're doing the remote control car tricks. But then later on when they realize, wait, why is this worm acting all weird? And they realize, wait, like it's sick. Something's coming out of it. Like And then they're like, oh, and literally as Earl said in the movie, he's like, it's a whole different ballpark now. It's a whole new fucking game now. So that's why they're like, oh shit, now what has like they laid eggs to something.
Oh man.
And you know the evolution behind this? So it goes Graboid, Shrieker, and then in the third movie they have these things called ass blasters.
What?
Which are basically it's so
It's basically Taco Bell.
no. It's basically it's so uncreative. It's a pterodactyl type of flying Graboid.
don't make them fly.
But guess what the thing is? Infrared. Oh, but it's the same shit as the Shriekers.
Oh.
Wow.
But apparently,
So it's Shriekers with wings.
but then the ass blaster gives birth to a Graboid. So it's literally a cycle.
Okay, so
Okay,
flying
this
things
is interesting.
Graboid,
I'm
Shrieker,
intrigued.
Graboid, Shrieker, ass blaster. Graboid,
Now this is a
Okay.
horror comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sold. I
Yeah.
like horror comedies.
Gooey shit. Oh, just a lot of gooey stuff. Both movies, yeah. But
Yeah.
I always watched the second one just as much as the first one growing up. And no one talks about it.
Yeah, you're right. Because like
Yeah.
most of the sequels I just hear are just derided constantly, especially the newest ones. The first one's a classic. I love the. I think it's one of the tightest scripts I've ever seen. Honestly.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's so tight. There's a lot of great setups and payoffs in the first
so
one.
good.
Like,
So yeah, if there's a movie that's even half as good as Tremors, I'll still see it. So
yeah.
it's great. All right.
And it was 1996, the sequel.
Okay.
Forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 6 years after the first one.
Yeah,
Took a while.
Veronica was born that year.
Nice.
Next round, final round.
Yeah.
Okay, so
oh my god.
correct me if I'm wrong, but Lyle and I, for the last round, we're going to talk about two films from that one everlasting saga of movies that's kind of been done to death at this point. The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh. Oh, I feel like such a hipster. It's such a, like,
Nah.
Oscar,
Here,
man.
let's-
It's not cinema. What are you talking about?
Okay, Martin, we get it. Or are you Denis? Or wait, didn't Denis say the same thing?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so case in point, I want to clear up a misconception between Lyle and myself. I do not hate Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, how this conception came to be was I saw the trailer 8 years ago, didn't think anything of it. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever been done. I feel like I'm not going to like it. A bunch of friends invited me to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and I like it. I'm like, this is decent. It's fun. I do think it's I maintain that it's overhyped, which is why I like to tell people that Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, is slightly overrated. It's grown on me in recent years, like with the characters and the adventure they go on. But I'm not gonna say it's better than the Avengers or even better than Star Wars. It's not. I don't even find it that comparable to Star Wars. Like, quite honestly. That being said,
I thought you were going to go with Star Wars The Last Jedi. Is that considered an underrated sequel?
No.
To a
depending on which side of the internet you
The
talk to.
discussion is so
from a certain point
loud.
of view.
From a certain point of view.
Sorry,
That-
go ahead.
That being said, I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is one of the best sequels in the whole MCU.
Really?
Okay.
No, sorry. I didn't mean really, because, like, why wouldn't you think? I love
Okay,
these-
great. We're all on the same fucking
I
page.
love these two
Because
fucking movies.
I went I left
yeah.
I saw it with Lyle on opening weekend. We left the theater like high on like endorphins, both of us. And we were like, we just saw something really great.
I liked it the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
The second time I saw it, I loved it.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
It took me a second shot just to kind of confirm, like, okay, wait, is this as good as... Because guys, I love
Okay.
first Guardians
The
of the
reason
Galaxy.
so
Like, when I saw it, I said, that it is my favorite Marvel movie, actually.
It's my favorite Marvel
wow.
movie. Holy fuck.
Okay.
And the second one is probably just as good.
Damn. Okay.
I cannot wait for Volume 3, guys.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
The third
It's the only Marvel thing I
It's the
have
only-
any sort of anticipation.
give
like,
half a shit about.
Because I love these characters. I think James Gunn has a personality to these movies, and they're not just fucking
Factory.
Kevin Feige being like, all right, who's
Did you
like
just call him Kevin Faggy?
I know that, faggy. I know that.
Feige? It's not just him going, all right, who's like a competent indie filmmaker? pluck, here you go, and here's all the storyboards and all the animation.
It's all
Here are
done
the
for you.
comics.
all the producers' notes and all this stuff. Gotta put this in there, gotta put that in there. Everything's on a green screen, and then we gotta film our fucking stinger at the end. It's just. I sorry to tangent. Sorry, I totally cut you off. I'm so sorry. I just want to get this out of the way that it was a nice run, that the Infinity Saga, and I just felt like it wanted to take a break. And it seems like just you guys still get suckered in on trying to give these things a shot.
Oh, I don't.
Like post Endgame, just feels like it's falling apart.
Oh,
And
it
I'm
is.
just sitting back in a hammock going, look at the fire, look at it burn. I love it.
I kind
With the exception of No Way Home, of course. That was a really fun one. And
My theory is that up until Guardians 3, it might be the last great, like legitimately great, like jump out of your seat MCU.
I think I might hang up my hat and retire after seeing Volume 3. Like, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
fair
done.
I need to live to
that'll
see
be
this.
15 years on the dot that I sat and watched Iron Man. So it's almost
Wow.
fitting.
Okay,
Oh, there you
so
go.
so then
Go ahead, Adam.
Okay,
Let's
so-
talk about
so
this awesome.
So when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I was expecting Lyle, I loved it. I was on an emotional high, like going home after seeing it, and it stayed with me for weeks. Like most MCU movies are lucky if they stay with me for a day. This one stayed with.
You're proving my point.
No, like most MCU stuff, even back a lot of MCU stuff was lucky to stay with me for like a day.
I see it, and then 2 days later, what did I see?
But then, I was like, wow, I was thinking about this movie in a way that I wasn't thinking about the first one. And I'm like, wow. And I go online and I'm thinking, okay, the film community probably loved it. I watched Jeremy John's review of it. He's like, it had problems. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean it had problems? And then every prominent internet critic that I looked up to back then was saying, and still look up to today, was like saying, oh, it just doesn't hit the same market. I'm like, what are you talking about? I love this. This went even deeper than the first movie because it does everything a good sequel is supposed to do. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, ends with, there's a mystery as to who Star-Lord's father is. I wonder if we'll figure that out. That is the premise of the whole movie of Guardians 2. And you know what? More power to him, because that is who Star-Lord is. He's a boy without a father who got lost in space, and he wants to know who his father is.
Well,
What more can you ask for?
the emotional core really is that when he actually does find out who his father is and what of a monster
Yeah.
that he is, an egotistical
Oh,
monster.
God.
Egotistical.
Dude.
Nice.
That
Then,
line-
then he finds out who his real daddy is.
Yondu.
Yeah.
Everything with Yondu.
Yondu, Nebula, like Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like in the first movie, it's like these guys are kind of dicks. I don't like him. And then in the second one, you're just like, oh my god.
And also, guys, one of the great. This movie's colorful and gorgeous looking.
Oh my god.
Okay.
it's
Production
so
design
good.
is so nice. Like
back when-
the gold people.
Oh,
Remember how,
yeah.
like,
The Sovereign.
Yeah, sorry, I'm the gold people. I'm
The
such
Sovereign.
I'm a
The gold
normie. I'm a normie. Whatever.
That's fine.
I
That's what
like
call
gold. Whatever.
No.
The texture of it.
But-
the texture.
Okay.
So visual, so amazing. The scene where it was playing George Harrison's
My Sweet Lord.
when they were riding.
That's my favorite scene in the
Ego,
movie.
and just how amazing
Oh.
and colorful it is.
Yeah, it looks
The-
like an
the-
album
okay.
cover.
Yeah.
The soundtrack. Do you know that Ego's Planet? I believe it still stands as one of the most elaborate visual effects that the MCU has in its entire film
For
library, and which is crazy because as the MCU went on and their deadlines became more and more crushing, the CGI looks faker and faker, and the shows are not helping that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of criticism.
Baby Groot's a great little addition.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Drax is as hilarious as ever.
Drax.
Oh, she just admitted to everyone your deepest, darkest secret. Do me.
Anytime Drax is just laughing.
Yeah, he's not a grump
And-
anymore.
and by the way,
living
like-
life.
For some really weird reason, the Screen Junkies was nitpicking this movie, saying, "Oh, these characters laugh at their own jokes." I'm like, "That's not a bad thing. They're a family now. Let them have their fun."
Oh no, they're turning into Mike Myers.
Oh God.
Yeah, a lot of people. I noticed that this was kind of a trend that started because of this movie, but like sometimes you'll have a character that kind of explains like a really dark thing about themselves, and then it just gets undercut. It's like, maybe Nebula, what are you gonna do after I let you go? I'm gonna hunt down my sister and murder her. Oh, that's nice. I thought you could have gotten a nice hat or something.
Now, Now,
Kraglin's great.
Now, do you remember
James Gunn's little brother?
Oh, there's that, and but then
sorry.
they also the Guardians also get a new member, Mantis.
Yeah,
I really like her.
Mantis is sweet. Yeah,
she's a great character.
Earlier in the movie when they had Yondu and Sylvester Stallone's character, I forget his name.
Yeah,
he's like the Ravager leader.
Well, he's based on those characters, like in that post-credit scene. They're based on the very original Guardians of the Galaxy from like the 70s or whatever.
But I was just saying when I'm just seeing Michael Rooker and Sylvester Stallone in the same scene together, I'm like, hey, a cliffhanger reunion.
Nice.
I'm such a '90s junkie. That's
sorry. Cool. No, no, it's cool. And I was expecting like I was very disheartened when I saw all these like internet personalities. Even the critics didn't give it good reviews.
Holy shit! The de-aging at the beginning with Kurt Russell.
Oh man,
that was like him during his like Overboard years or something like that.
Yeah,
holy shit!
It's like we were watching Starman or something.
Right? Yeah, early, like '80s.
Yeah. And
really good.
You know, Hunter really doesn't like this movie either.
Oh,
he hates this movie.
Why does he hate it? Wait, well, I kind of know. I don't. Can we not bring?
Wait, ask that again.
Why does he hate it?
I don't know.
Can we? Okay, let's not talk about someone who's not here.
No, it's fine.
But like that just goes to show, like it's a movie where it's like I don't understand why
he defends stuff that's shit on all the time. Take it.
I mean,
he's defending.
It's everyone's opinion.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, to me, it's like if you hate this movie, that's kind of like saying you hate Toy Story 2, but you love Toy Story 1. It feels like that kind of thing, because I feel like it's really solid as a sequel.
It is. I don't know, underrated, I guess, to like some people that like think it fell short compared to the first one, as you said. But like I don't know.
Critically,
a lot of people. What the hell? How does it fall short?
I think I'm going to say Ant-Man and the Wasp as being an underrated sequel or something like that.
Oh, it's funny you should mention that.
Why?
Because
is that your next one?
That's my next one.
Oh, sorry.
This is diversity of opinions. We love it.
What'd you say?
No, I just said I thought you were expecting to say something that was like really under the radar that not a lot of people think is like.
Well, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay, sorry. Oh my god, that's so funny.
I predicted you, and you predicted me.
Back to back Marvel. Oh my god. Okay. Wow. I must have predicted that. I've foreseen it somewhat.
Yeah. Okay, so and the soundtrack, like My Sweet Lord, The Chain, like harping.
That's the best song.
Yeah. I wonder if the album that The Chain is from will ever come up again. Well, we'll see. But
talking about the albums episode.
The next one we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing Dreams?
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, it's a great album. But the point is, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, it's. Like, the characters are all expanded. The story's deeper. Oh my god. Spoiler alert. Yondu's funeral?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Cat Stevens? Oh my god.
That's great.
I mean, that's right next to, like, the last 2 minutes of Infinity War with the blip. No, the snap. I don't call it the blip. I call it the snap.
Even just Peter going, you killed my mother, and he just takes out his fucking guns and just starts shooting him up.
You killed my mother and you destroyed my Walkman. Take this, a-hole.
They handled that.
And they got
so well.
David Hasselhoff to come in unseamlessly.
David Hasselhoff.
It was a little distracting the first time I saw it, but it works. It works.
I liked it.
Yeah.
What about that fight sequences? The fight sequences are fun in this.
The fight sequences, they're very fun.
When Yondu breaks out.
In fact,
come on a little bit closer. He has this arrow that just wipes the floor.
Arrow. I love the fight scenes in this more than the fight scenes in the first one. They're good in the first one, but they're generic compared to this.
Well, the second one feel a bit more.
The second one, they're more elaborate.
Well, it's filmmaking style, like the filmmaking of like the filmmaking strengths of James Gunn got better in the second one.
They really did.
It's beautifully shot. The production design is excellent.
And also, remember the scene where they confirm that Stan Lee is a Watcher? That's why he cameos in every Marvel movie. He plays a different person. Right. They confirm that's the movie that confirms that Stan Lee is a Watcher.
Well, it makes sense why this one grew so much because the first one was kind of a gamble, honestly. I didn't know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy before.
Me neither.
Movie. So like they threw all this money towards it, and James probably had like a lot of constraints and stuff. And then the second one, it's like, oh, carte blanche, it's yours, buddy. You can do whatever the hell you want with this.
2014, the year, the not only a great year in cinema, but it's the year that the MCU came into its own.
It did.
Yeah.
With both Winter Soldier and Guardians.
Yeah.
So good. And then
That's pretty much all I have to say. I have trouble understanding why people are so hard on this movie. It's so heartfelt.
Please, Volume 3 be just as great, and this will be the trilogy that I'll look back on instead of Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's already... I mean, I don't know.
Like I said before,
I enjoyed both Force Awakens and The Last Jedi equally, but the third one shat the bed. But
and
you can say that, yeah.
But I hope Volume 3 doesn't shat the bed.
Yeah, please don't shit the bed.
But this is the thing. In contrast, I like the first Guardians of the Galaxy, despite I still think it's a little overrated or overhyped might be a better term.
That's a better term, yeah.
But take some comfort to know that I love the second one with all my heart, and I think it's criminally underrated, given... I'm sure it has its fans and defenders.
Yep.
I'm talking to two of them right now.
I'm with those people.
Yeah.
So let's just take some comfort to know that it's a sacred sequel, and if you didn't like it the first time you saw it, give it another chance. I implore you.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Some more Marvel stuff. So... This one, compared to the one you just did, Evan, because I love that sequel. That's got to be one of my favorite sequels of all time. This one is smaller, you could say. So yeah, the one I decided to pick in terms of the MCU, I decided to pick on Ant-Man and the Wasp. Because to be honest with you, I actually really enjoy the Ant-Man series. I saw the first one, and I thought it was rather delightful. It went back into the stranger elements of the MCU, where you have like shrink abilities and things that are like a little bit more playful.
I still think it's criminal that Edgar Wright was this close to helming the first Ant-Man.
Yeah, you can't talk about Ant-Man without talking about Edgar Wright and his involvement and dissolvement from the franchise.
Do you feel like that's when people start looking at the MCU like, wow, like they are really not respective to talent?
That was a start, yeah. And then you watch Phase 4 and it's just like, wow,
it's starting to show its true colors.
Now the visual effects
they had an entertaining a story that they were building up with Infinity War. Now with this Phase 4, it's like, what the fuck? It's just trying to keep a brand going. That's all it feels like.
Yeah, but
Scattershot, just She-Hulk, fucking Hawkeye, fucking this and that.
Miss
Marvel, just all this shit. And you gotta watch this to understand that. You gotta watch that to understand this. It's like, fuck, I'm out.
Oh yeah, if you don't watch, Cody, if you watch Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness without seeing WandaVision,
that's why
you're not gonna get it.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, okay, I had to watch this whole show, and WandaVision's not bad.
It's alright.
It's alright.
It's overrated.
But same with fucking Doctor Strange 2. I'm just like, yeah, everything's fine, but I'm just, where's this all going?
Yeah, it actually makes me miss the days of Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it's like, it's just nice.
But Ant-Man and the Wasp, a.k.a. the holdover in between Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah,
I thought Captain Marvel was the holdover between Infinity War and it's one of them.
Both,
that one too, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of put in this awkward bubble, and a lot of people do complain about that. But to me, it's nice. We see Scott Lang; he's under house arrest, which means he gets to spend time. I love that bit where he's with his daughter, and they're doing like the tunnel,
the
cardboard box tunnel.
That movie. We watched it with the boxes.
Dave Made a Maze.
Oh, Dave Made a Maze.
Yeah, remind me of that. Yeah.
In Volume 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that bit, and it's just like, if you like the characters from Ant-Man, you'll like them again in this. Everyone's pretty good in this.
Is that where that meme came from with Michael Pena where he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, this shitty thing happened."
No, that's the first one.
Is that the first one? Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one. But I love the part where Lewis is injected truth serum when he gets kidnapped by the bad guys. This guy already talks his mouth off for every story, so then he just goes on a tear. But yeah, sorry, that's beside the point. The plot of the story is now Scott's in house arrest. He can't really do anything, so he's a little listless. He could use an adventure, and luckily, Hank Pym and his daughter Hope,
Kate.
Yeah, Kate. Kate from Lost.
She looks exactly like her with her hair down. So.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah,
ponytail, yeah. And they need to find Janet Van Dyne. the original Wasp, because it's hinted in the first movie. It's
Hey,
like,
wait.
she could be gone.
They need to find her because she's
Lost.
The Lost Wasp.
alternate title for the sequel.
Lost Wasp.
Yeah. And so Scott's up for the challenge. He wants to help his friends, and he kind of needs to make up for the blunder he did in Civil War, where he kind of snuck out and showed off the technology to everyone, because PIM technology has to be a secret.
Right.
What ends up happening is they have this quantum device that can go deep into the microverse. They can't call it
the quantum realm.
They call it the quantum realm. It's supposed to be the microverse, but they don't have the rights to that, unfortunately. So, because that's where Janet is. Now, along the way, they're hunted by two separate factions. There's Walton Goggins. I always say Walter for some reason. And what he is like he sold technology to the PIMS, and he wants a cut. He wants to own this technology and sell it on the black market. And then we have what I think is actually one of the more underrated MCU villains in general.
Right.
Ghost.
Yeah.
I really like Ava Stark.
She's sympathetic. You understand?
She is.
And she's really just trying to run away from the whole situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
What was up with Marvel Phase 3 villains? Like, they were all good and they were all sympathetic.
Yeah.
They heard the complaints. Like, your villains are shit. I don't even like them.
Right.
But the Ghost, it's like she doesn't have prospects of taking anything over or like owning the world, destroying humanity or anything. She really just needs to survive. Because she got hit with this quantum blast when she was super young and killed her whole family. She developed the ability to, transfer through material. Kind of like Kitty Pryde or someone from the X-Men.
Right.
Or the Ghost from Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah.
Experimenting on somebody, but it didn't go well, and they're kind of like, who am I? Why do I have this?
And
Yeah,
the way she...
11.
And they train her to be a weapon and a secret agent assassin.
It's 11.
Exactly. So, but I don't know. Hannah John Kamen really knocked it out of the park.
When I listen to the scene of her describing her condition, I legitimately feel her pain. Like she explains that it's like every molecule in her body is being ripped apart and stitched back together within the span of a second. I'm like, that's excruciating.
What's so funny, Cody?
The greatest scene in cinematic history in this movie. When he shrinks down to like a kid size and he's wearing that sweater.
The hoodie.
He's just running around and Hope, I guess, not Kate, sorry.
Yeah.
Is like teasing him, just like, oh, you're gonna reach the top, you almost got it.
Oh yeah, because
come up in the front seat of the car.
So remember when Hank
that was a good scene.
So remember when Hank, Pym, Kate they pick up Aaron from school?
yeah, they pick our son up from school.
Yeah.
Like
Does anyone want a juice box?
Wow. Size gags. Boy, does that tie into my last pick.
I know.
I love when things tie in together so nicely.
I know, that's what I thought of that.
I have a soft spot for like shrinking stuff. So I think Ant-Man, I look at Ant-Man, both Ant-Man movies, because I like them both equally.
Yeah.
I like them both equally, but I love the Guardians movies.
Oh yeah, I do
equally.
too.
But I feel like, because I don't like to take these Marvel movies too seriously. The Ant-Man movies are just like light fun.
Oh yeah, they are.
You know?
But I feel like a lot of people just write them off. They're not very successful in the grand scheme of the MCU. They're actually
well, like they don't perform. They don't bring in the money that Iron Man or Captain America or Thor bring in.
They feel like rom-coms.
Yeah, but it's fun.
With the chemistry with Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd, it feels like rom-coms almost. But
I mean, like,
it's a superhero.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
I get that.
I mean, they're generically looking as fuck. Like, aesthetically, they're just bland. They look like television shows.
Yeah,
but that's the charm. That's the charm behind them. I'm fine with that.
It's comforting in a way.
It's very comforting.
I love the scene where Scott's with his daughter, and he's having like a verge of personal crisis because he doesn't feel like he's useful enough. Like, he's not a scientist. He doesn't understand anything about quantum technology, and his daughter just has to like pep him up a bit. I thought that was nice. They recasted the daughter now. She's played by someone completely different.
What?
Yeah, well, she was recast in Endgame because obviously it's been like a 5-year gap.
Wait, what? Oh, the daughter. Sorry,
the daughter,
Cassie.
Cassie.
What do you think I was talking about?
I thought you were talking about Evangeline Lilly for some reason.
But didn't you say that if they make a third one, she might be recast because of the whole...
I mean, whatever. We don't need to do that. But Yeah, well, it makes sense for them to recast it because like there's a 5-year gap.
5-year gap, but they recasted that actress and they replaced her with some girl who was in Detective Pikachu.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah. I saw it, but I don't remember it.
Me neither.
I watched it the same day as Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my god, so many video game movies.
I mean, it was a double feature that kind of worked well, but I don't remember either of them.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know, I also really like the ending of this, where it's like... Oh yeah, wait, I also forgot Lawrence.
Oh yeah, when it's like, alright, take me out of the quantum, guys. Guys.
Pull me up, seriously, Hank.
And they're dusted, and you're like, oh, fuck!
Yeah.
Right!
Yeah.
We're still trying to process the shit that just went down.
Is it kind of crazy how, like, while the Avengers were literally losing the fight to Thanos, Ant-Man was just doing his own thing, and then he got roped into a universe-altering crisis.
Well, if it wasn't for this whole quantum thing, you wouldn't have what they did next.
Exactly. That's why I like
so
this.
Tightly episodic.
It fits just nicely.
Yeah.
But I remember when it came out, like a lot of people were just utterly ambivalent towards it. Like Red Letter Media didn't do a cover of it.
Oh, because they did it out of just indifference at this
Do you
point.
feel like...
Yeah, they're tired.
Do you feel like Infinity War was like, okay, I just want to let this movie sink in. I don't want to consume any more MCU for a while. I want this great experience to just simmer. I don't want anything else.
I stuck around with it to the very end.
Yeah. Well, because if anything, I would have figured that Infinity War would have got people more on edge, because up till Infinity War, the MCU kind of felt like, okay, every superhero movie is formulaic. They get in trouble, they save the day. But Infinity War broke the mold where it's like, oh, these guys are in real peril, and I'm not sure if they will even win, and they don't win.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, and then with Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, okay, I'm kind of curious to see what was Ant-Man doing, and so if anything, I think the Infinity War Endgame strategy was like a marketing genius idea.
My buddy KJ said the perfect thing about the Infinity War saga.
Yeah,
he says it's a cinematic television show, like one season, because there's 24 films from Iron Man to, I guess, Endgame, or Far From Home, I guess, and 24 episodes of one season is like that. So it's just an episodic cinematic.
So that just lasted one season, and then they're trying to do it for a second season, and
it becomes Heroes.
It becomes Heroes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Heroes, so I don't get that.
Well, the first season's brilliant. Everything else sucks.
The success of Top Gun Maverick is showing people are getting bored.
Yeah.
The fatigue is now settled in.
Yeah,
it took a while. It took a while. I started to feel the Marvel fatigue even around Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah,
I felt that when I went into that movie, and afterwards, I'm feeling. All right.
The Batman. Are you talking Marvel fatigue or superhero fatigue?
Maybe a bit of both.
Well, because the Batman it made a shit ton of money.
But the cliffhanger at the end of Infinity War kind of made me really curious.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed Endgame and seeing that with a crowd.
Yeah.
So I stuck along to get to that.
Yeah.
At least. But
going back to Ant-Man and the Wasp, we're talking about Marvel so much, we're kind of like, it's starting to become nebulous. We're leading into other topics here. But, I know it's not, like, the best MCU movie. I would never say it is. But it's just, I feel like people are just so ambivalent towards it. Like, I feel like it's almost like a meme. It's like, oh, Ant-Man and the Wasp wins Best Picture just because it breaks it in. Next up, Ant-Man 6, like, and all that. And in terms of that, like, they're making a new one. They're making Quantum Mania.
Bill Murray's in it?
Bill Murray's in it, yeah.
Oh, I saw some TikToks. I saw some, like, people recording off of their phones at the Comic-Con thing. Like, I've seen a little bit of stuff.
Oh, yeah?
It looks fine. But it's bootleg, and I can't really say much about it.
I'm sure it'll be solid. I don't know. I'm not super hyped. I'm actually kind of hyped because Ghost is coming back. Haven't heard from her.
She survived the blip.
Yeah, she's coming back, and she'll be in Thunderbolts, which kind of just sounds like MCU Suicide Squad. Okay. MCU Suicide Squad. But that's the only. I'm curious about that, I guess, but I don't know. I feel a bit silly because I understand it's like a lot of people throw the B word around, like bland, boring. I hate everything. Really hates this one, but I don't know, I think it gets a bad stick. It's fully enjoyable.
Well, one thing I have to say is, I grew to like the I grew to like the characters from the first movie by the end of that movie. And in the second one, like they're going up, their stakes go up, which is what you're supposed to do in a good sequel. And like I like these characters a lot. I genuinely want to see them succeed, and I felt bad for them when it looked like all hope was lost. So
when all hope was lost.
There's so many puns in that whole friggin' thing you just said, Evan.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
But seriously, like, yeah, like.
No, I didn't mind it. I don't mind it
characters.
at all. Like I said, these are just like fun, soft little movies.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people just seem to want every superhero movie to be massive, but this one
doesn't need to be massive.
It grew on me. I'm done. What's next?
Well, speaking of growing and shrinking down.
That sounds like my sex tape.
We're talking sex tape or solo masturbation.
I'm tying it right back to your first pick, a 1997 direct-to-video Disney sequel.
Oh, mine was 98, but sorry to nitpick that, but no, late 90s direct-to-DVD, I'll take it, go.
But yeah, it's coming full circle now.
Go.
So, you guys like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
I've seen it once a long time ago. Yeah. I need to watch it again.
It's a pretty edgy
I do know
film.
I do know that it had a couple sequels, one of which you're going to talk about.
Yes.
Now, are you talking about Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves?
Yes. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves from 1997.
When I used to own the VHS, the special edition VHS copy of Toy Story, and every time I watched it, I would see the trailer for this movie and think it was like, a pretty decent film.
Well, okay, so but in between there, you guys know about Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, right?
Where the kid is like big and
so yeah, Disney had to change the title, and even in the film, he says, "Honey, I blew up the baby." But I guess when they marketed Honey, I Blew Up the Baby, they realized, oh, that doesn't sit well. That doesn't sound right. How about Honey, I Blew Up the Kid? Because that sounds better.
Much better.
What the fuck? But yeah. The Honey,
not a very marketable.
But Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that's a pretty edgy kind of kids movie. Joe Johnston was the director of it. It was his Joe Johnston. I believe that was his first directed.
Not The Rocketeer.
Movie. Yeah. No. That was before The Rocketeer.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And you got Rick Moranis playing Wayne Zielinski, just like a really he's like every guy's dad type, kind of similar to Michael Gross and Tremors. He just feels like a dad, but a very quirky kind of dad. He's an adventurer.
Perfect mad scientist.
So he accidentally shrinks his kids and the neighbor's kids next door, and they're all lost in the backyard. That's the first movie. The second movie is where he accidentally blows up his second child, Adam. Blows him up to where he's just like this giant, tall baby. But that movie is very similar to... I always compare that movie, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, to Ghostbusters 2.
A bit.
Where the Statue of Liberty is walking through...
No, in terms of tone, where it feels like the edge is softened.
Okay.
Like where it's like, oh, it's all cute now, and it's all kind of like, and it's whatever. I watched all...
baby.
I watched the Honey, whatever you call it, the trilogy. Honey trilogy, whatever you want to call it. I watched them a lot as a kid.
The Shrink trilogy.
Sure, whatever you want to call it. I watched all three of these epically, but, and I'm sorry, Lyle, I know you gave this like half a star in your letterbox, but Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. Despite the fact that it has like the budget of like a sitcom, and it looks like a sitcom when you watch it. It's a sitcom.
The green screen is so goddamn
bad. I'm not going to defend the technical qualities.
And it's directed by Dean Cundy?
Can you believe that? Dean Cundy, the DP for Jurassic Park, Back to the Future,
John Carpenter
stuff, so many fucking movies.
This guy directed...
The only thing he's ever directed was this.
This is his only directorial debut.
So kind of like the fucker who made The Cat in the Hat. He was the art director on a bunch of... Welch. He was an art director on a bunch of Tim Burton films, and the Cat in the Hat was his one stint of directing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for this one, like, the whole thing is that, like, okay... And it's weird. Wayne Zielinski did not strike me as a superstitious type, but apparently he has this statue called the Tiki Man that he keeps around, and his wife Diane, who they recasted. I like the actress.
Recasted her.
Yeah, the actress. She was in the first two. I'm like, why did they recast her? It was weird.
She was good.
Or I don't know. Maybe look this up. I don't know if she like passed away or something like that.
No, she didn't pass away. She's still alive.
Okay. She's saying like, Wayne, get rid of this thing, whatever. So when her and her friend, her in-law actually, go out on like this vacation, Wayne's like, all right, he's gonna take his brother. And they got the kids out of the house, and they're like, all right, now let's take this tiki man, go upstairs in the attic, let's dust off that old shrink machine that he signed a contract with the FDA and his wife to never use the shrinking machine ever again after all the incidents.
But the trailer says, all right, shrink machine one last time.
Wow, it's so funny you know the lines.
Because I've seen this trailer as many times as I've seen Toy Story on VHS, which is a lot.
All right. So they shrink down the tiki man, but then I think a pool ball falls on the button when they're standing in front of it, and they get shrunk. And then their in-laws came back for some reason. Oh, they had to drop off something for their kids. They go upstairs, and right when they open the door, another pool ball comes down on the button and shrinks them. And they continue a staple of these movies. Anytime the mom figures out, wait, you shrunk the kids? And he goes, yeah. She always faints. So when she says, Wayne, are we shrunk? He goes, yes. And then she just faints. Like, it's a staple of Diane. That's her character's name, Diane. She always faints.
Oh.
Another thing that's always a staple is his mailbox gets way more elaborate because he's like this adventure. He makes like this crazy mailbox thing that just like sucks it down into this pipe under the house or in the ground to the house and all that. Yeah, there's a few staples in these movies. But dude, there's so many creative things. That Hot Wheels scene is a blast when you really think about it.
Yeah, when I think about it, but in execution,
that's hilarious.
I remember that
it's cheap, but it's so. You gotta. And again,
maybe if I was a kid,
I gotta take off my nostalgia goggles. I'm sorry, but like when you really like invest yourself in this situation, like if you're shrunk down like that, of course you'd want to have like a set piece or want to do that.
Yeah,
get inside of a fucking Hot Wheel and go down the track, jump the loop thing. Like it's exciting as hell. What about the bubble maker scene?
Yeah, right.
Now, so the whole thing is that the older daughter, who's like, holy shit, Allison Mack. Look up her.
Yeah.
Why don't you take?
It's ironic too.
Where did her career go off, Lyle?
She got involved with some MLM, and then it became like almost like a cult.
It's a sex cult.
She indoctrinated young women to be part of the cult, and she got caught. When they got caught, she got roped around with it.
I always known her as Chloe from Smallville.
Yeah, she's from Smallville.
Yeah, I never watched that show, but my sisters let me watch it.
Which is ironic because in the movie she argues with one of the boys about consent because he kisses her. She's like, I would have liked you had you not have done that. It's wrong to do that.
I learned
preaching to the choir
when she's like, why would you do that? She's like, what? I'm like, you never asked me to kiss you. He's like, what are you talking about? A lot of girls like that. It's like, well, I'm not that type. We should have got to know each other and all that. I'm like, oh, interesting. I learned about consent and all that. But there's also another scene that I learned that's very educational. I didn't know bananas have potassium. The younger brother character has like a potassium deficiency, and he passed out in one scene. They're like, we gotta find something with potassium. And then Wayne's son, Adam, who's played by Bug Hall, who's Alfalfa. He's like, bananas have potassium. So I'm like,
Now another movie, pun intended, food for thought.
Yeah.
The only scene I liked.
Another movie that I just realized teaches consent subtly was the first Back to the Future. Shut your filthy mouth! I'm not that kind of girl. Maybe you are, and you just don't know.
Or Dean Cundy.
Yeah.
Or Dean Cundy, yeah.
Oh, he shot Back to the Future?
He was the DP for Back to the Future.
But
he's the director of this one.
He does
it's all connected.
He does a lot of John Carpenter.
But the set of this house is so funny. I can literally see like the stage lights or like the you know how when you build a set and you don't build the roof? I swear I saw a shot that was literally like I can see beyond the wall.
If I ever see
it's so
movie,
cheap, and I'm defending it, but I'm also
this is like one of Mila Kunis's first movies.
Mila Kunis is one of the friends that because like the whole thing is that the daughter throws a party and invites the boys over, but the adults got to get the kids' attention. That's literally the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah,
but there's a scene in the movie,
and then there's one scene where one of their dads is screaming, "Mr. Sir, you're 3/4 of an inch tall."
Yes, yeah. He's trying to yell at his daughter, and then Wayne's like, "Yo, Gordon, You're 3/4 of an inch tall.
Yeah.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
But there's a great scene where like the one of the friends brought over like a bubble maker machine.
Oh, nice.
And Wayne's like, well, if we just like jump in the bubble as it's recorded or as it's formed,
Recording a
sorry,
bubble.
not recorded, as it's formed, it can probably hold our weight. So
Yeah.
they're literally just like in this like bubble floating around.
Judd Apatow recorded a bubble.
And then the bubble pops, and then they're falling to their death, but they land in onion dip. And then they're like, okay, we're safe. And then all the girls pounce on the onion dip with chips, and they're all swimming around like, ah!
They're teenage girls. How much can they eat?
It's so funny how you memorize the trailer for
Yeah.
this so well. It's so
Yeah.
funny. You know the lines so well.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
But Lyle,
I'm
What about the
sorry,
cockroach? What about the
Lyle, how much do you like this movie?
How much do I have only seen it once. I never want to see it again. I liked Rick Moranis.
Well, Rick Moranis is
he's good in it.
Wayne Zielinski is always enjoyable.
He's the best part. Yeah.
This was his last movie.
It was. Yeah, he retired after this movie.
Yeah, his wife passed away and he became a stay-at-home dad.
Mhm.
But apparently, guys, and get ready for this, Disney, or I guess Disney Plus, whatever, they're making something called Shrunk. So
Oh,
Is he coming back?
God.
Josh Gad plays Nick Zielinski, like the son from the son from the first movie, and they're bringing back Wayne Zielinski himself, Rick Moranis.
Wow.
How big was that paycheck?
Okay, you know what?
I wonder.
No.
I
Okay,
mean, his kids are grown up
dude,
now,
dude.
so-
Yeah, I guess.
Disney's is getting into the habit of bringing like classic actors who were big 20, 30 years ago out of retirement. Like Hayden Christensen was cool to come back for Obi-Wan.
I know, but like I'm probably gonna have to watch it, even though I know it's gonna be so safe, soft, bland, forgettable. Have that Disney Channel aesthetic that today's stuff has on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I just know it's not gonna like hold a
yeah,
candle.
you have a lot of enthusiasm for the franchise. I can see that.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, me personally, I think I'd rather just watch George Shrinks.
Like. Here's one thing is that like there's even a scene in the movie where very similar to the first one where like there's insects, things should be intense. Oh my god, a scorpion! Oh my god, an ant! All that stuff.
This one has a cockroach.
This one has a cockroach.
Oh,
in it.
and a daddy long leg.
They learned that the daddy longlegs was friendly.
Yeah,
but the
they're
cockroach
harmless.
thing,
like
you
the
think
ant from the first movie.
they get inside of this bug trap, and Diane gets her foot caught, and you think the cockroach is going to eat her, but the cockroach gets all caught up in the trap, and then Diane gets free, and they're all like, they all try to take a breath, and then they all immediately start laughing about what just happened. And it's just like there's no intensity in this movie. There's because it's all just actors. There's no. It's all actors. You could definitely feel you can see the seams. It's all people on a green screen, and it's just there's no edge. There's no intensity. Y'all feel like they're gonna be okay. But I just have a soft spot for this movie.
So it's kind of like a guilty pleasure for you, then, is that it, or is it above that?
Some way.
It feels
but
above that because you have like genuine. Like you genuinely enjoy it.
I don't even know.
You don't know. It's like my chauffeur.
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
I think my pick is falling apart as I'm talking about it.
It's okay. I felt the same
Are you
way,
gonna?
I
I feel like okay. Are you gonna watch this movie and be like, "Oh my god,
Lyle was right"? No, it's hard. It's nostalgic and it's kind of like I have to watch it. If I watch one of them, I gotta watch them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a little soft spot for the Honey movies.
Oh, that's all right.
So it's the Honey series or the Shrunk? The
Shrink Honey movies, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Like, they're just
Honey, I shrink these movies.
Do you remember the beginning when he's doing like a seminar at Wayne Zielinski Enterprises, whatever it is, and it's like a set of like 5 people are in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cheap.
Oh, it's kind of like Atlantis, where like Milo is talking to like the.
Oh,
yeah, but that had a purpose.
And during that scene when I was just talking about the kid having a potassium deficiency, when they're trying to break up the bananas and put it in his mouth, the sister Allison Mack is like saying, "Come on, chew it," and you're watching her mouth, and she's not talking throughout this whole scene.
But it's dubbed over.
but it's just 80 yard of lines that you're like, your mouth is not moving. I'm looking at you. You are not talking. Why am I hearing you? Why am I hearing you right
To
now?
quote Mrs.
It's the worst.
To quote Mrs. Doubtfire, you can't put words in Punchy's mouth if his mouth isn't moving.
Right.
Well, it's voiced over. It's an interior monologue. Maybe the voice of God. That's even better. No, Punchy, don't smoke. Actors.
It's like, what do you guys think? People in the like,
Let's ask the technicians. Do you think it's morally right to promote smoking to the youth of America?
they're all smoking.
They're biased. That's a mistrial.
Sorry. Trying to think of anything else that's noteworthy from this movie to defend.
Defend.
I don't even know.
That's okay, Cody. It's hard. It's hard to pick an underrated sequel.
This movie honestly feels like, all right, after they were done shooting on the set of Home Improvement, they're like, all right, make way for the production of Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, and then just have like it just feels so sitcom.
Do you love it for how amateur
sitcom.
it is? Because there's nothing wrong with it being a guilty pleasure.
It literally feels like a late '90s sitcom. I'm not kidding. There's just like this wonderful charm to it that I can't look past.
Yeah.
Even though it's the cheapest, lamest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right, so if I turn my brain off, or if I kind of just look at it like if I was a kid, because I feel like if I saw this when I was younger, I wouldn't pick it apart as much as I do now.
No.
I would probably agree with you. It's like, yeah, it would be cool to ride a Hot Wheel down a ramp.
The Shark Cruiser.
Yeah.
The red Shark Cruiser.
Yeah, no, there's definitely I can see that. I mean, it's not easy picking an underrated sequel because like we're all kind of basing this off our own like biases and our own perspectives.
My three are nostalgia more than anything.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Only one of mine is considered nostalgic. I guess two of them are nostalgic. One of them's recent. But yeah. But like, hey, if we think a movie's underrated, justify why.
Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
I was very close to picking that one.
Honorable mention.
That's one that I thought was like, it might be better than the first one. At least they're a gang in this movie, and they don't broke up in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Speaking of James Gunn,
he wrote them.
Not only did he write both of them, didn't he get Razzies for both of them?
Oh yeah, well he got nominated a few times. It was before he was a big name.
Raja Gosnell.
It's
weird. It's weird how you have Raja Gosnell's direction because he's very dumb, safe, family comedy movies, but then there's actually some cleverness with the James Gunn writing in there.
Yeah, just
a mesh,
just shining through ever so slightly.
Yeah.
One sequel I almost picked was Goldmember. I really like Austin Powers Goldmember. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just more of the same, but I just think it just goes for broke.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking loud and
I actually had
obtrusive that I kind of like it.
I actually had a very hard time picking stuff. I mean, Guardians 2 was a shoo-in. I had to really... Clerks 2. But I had a hard time thinking of entries for this because a sequel is either so good that everyone and their mother talks about it or so bad that everyone just forgets about it.
Yeah, it falls... there's no gray area.
Not much of a gray area at all.
Sequels are so hit and miss that, it's rare to find a sequel that's like, okay, this is actually good, but not a lot of people talk about it. So
yeah, exactly. But it was a fun challenge, nonetheless.
It was a challenge.
I enjoyed this a lot.
So
trying to defend.
I'm not even defending. A lot of these movies don't need to be defended.
I feel like one that I didn't need to defend so much was Tremors 2, but certainly Batman Forever and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. I feel
you gave me the eye the whole time. You know how I feel about this too. That's okay. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one,
and they stink.
Your opinion stinks.
I mean, I actually don't know the full saying. Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has one, and I honestly forget the other half of the saying.
I think that is the same, isn't it?
Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has one.
Yeah. Or noses, if you want to be clean for the kiddies.
Yeah.
And with that, comment down below. Tell us what sequels you feel are incredibly marginalized or overlooked. And we thank you all for joining us on another So to Speak.
Hey, where's our food? I ordered food at the beginning of this episode.
You did?
Oh, it's they gave me the wrong burger.
They gave you the wrong order again.
Sorry, Lyle.
I'm sorry, too.
I mean,
all right.
Have a good night, folks.
Yeah, you guys take care, and I'll see you on the next one.
One is the loneliest number.
I said my thing that I usually say on Pop
do.
Talk at the end of your show. Damn it.
2 could be as bad as 1, or it could be underrated. You gotta
Like
find
the
the
number one.
sequel.
Now, guys, how about an overrated sequel?
Ooh. Now that's a challenge.
That would be good.
Maybe we'll see next time.
Next time. Next time. Next time, Gadget.
Oh, I liked Inspector Gadget too.